folks. AndrewX with another episode of Verbal Sex. Oh, yes. A couple days late again. You're welcome. Yeah, but at least this way we get a fine guest for you. Jeremiah,
yeah. Glad to be here, Andrew.
Yeah.
Fucking dope setup.
Thanks. It's, not bad.
Yeah, this is my first time.
Yeah, that's
It's your fifth time, right?
my fifth time. It
Cool.
still feels like my first time.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
I haven't really been at this. The last one of these I did, I was fucking dog sick. And,
I haven't heard that one yet.
yeah.
How did it go?
It went okay. I went over a topic that I wanted to do when I wasn't so sick. And I wish I would have done it a little better. And then my voice started to go like that.
Do you have any postscripts on it?
Oh, you mean like...
Shit you forgot to say that you want to say now?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure I did. I don't remember. I haven't really gone back and listened to it.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah, your shit's almost unlistenable anyways.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, no. So it feels a little new to me again. But
Yeah.
it always seems like there's something that almost makes it not happen every week for some reason.
Yeah.
And it's always just in my head. It's always just some like, oh, god damn it, it's going to be... Man, I have to call somebody to get him to come over here. Like, what the fuck is that? Or like,
Yeah, I get that a lot too. I'm pursuing becoming a better musician and performer, and I think that the way I do it best is to play for a couple hours every day, regardless. And yeah, there's always a thing that'll come up, even something as simple as a mood problem, or as a person or a distraction. Yeah, it's not easy to, and you feel like an asshole sitting down, clearing out your space and your time, and you sit there and you're ready to go, and you think, what am I?
yeah, like why am I not?
Yeah, it's
that's what I end up being, because I end up. Well, part of it was this. The week before, like I said, I was like real sick. I'd been sick, and it didn't work out like all the time. And for like a few months before that, I've been working out every day.
Oh yeah.
Trying to like get healthier or whatever.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I'm like not working out at all. And I mean, like every day, I've took like 3 off days in 3 months, I think.
Wow.
And I went to not working out for like a whole week and being sick and eating like shit, really, not like shit, but.
Yeah. We're at that age now, I suppose, where all that kind of matters.
Yeah. And then I go back to working out and I can't lift nearly as much as I did like a week ago or whatever.
That's what I feel like with music, especially singing. Yeah, singing, because I've never been a great singer at all. I mean, not even a good singer. I can like hold a tune, and I can land on time, but that's about all. But working on singing, if I sing for a few hours every day, sing and play, at least, I can get to a place where suddenly I have a little bit more control. But man, I'm telling you, take 2-3 days off, and I'm back to
Yeah, it
nowhere.
almost feels like back to square one sometimes.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah, it does that.
Hit that coffee.
Yeah.
You're still sick, aren't you?
No, it's just, I think it's kind of kicked up some dust down here or something.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm feeling great now. But I'm back into that kind of swing of things now a little bit now. It was just weird, like it's just been something different this week for me, motivationally. Just not. It was.
What do you mean?
I think it's just residual from being sick or something. Like I hadn't been taking care of myself, and so like I'm just kind of feel like I just played a lot of video games when I was sick.
Yeah.
And I kind of got stuck into doing that, and I now every so often I'm feeling like the draw to go back and sort of playing them some more, because that's what I was doing for like a week solid, pretty much. So
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, momentum is a key thing, isn't it? When you're trying to do things that are creative or whatever you call that. Like when you self-motivated, creating something, and with your own force of will, it can be really hard to do a good piece of work cold.
yeah, and people can tell if you're doing it for somebody, particularly like.
Yeah.
If I just like did one of these and I didn't really want to, like really didn't want to. I mean, I always want to. It's just one of those things where it's like it's still kind of new to me, and it's not like a part of my life anymore, or a part of my life like other things are, that I've been doing for longer. And so it's just like, at least right now, I feel like I have to give it a little more of a push to get myself to do it. Even though I know it's something I want to do, but there's something in me that tells me like, what the fuck are you doing? That's not what you want to do. It's just the part of me that's like used to not doing that or whatever. And now, like, yeah,
there's that thing where you have an idea, like this would be a cool thing to do. I can almost picture how it would go, how good it would be, and you're thinking of it like in its full actualization or whatever. Get the idea, and then from there to the point where you make the first move to actually make it real. That's where a lot of it, for most people, I think that's probably where a lot of it just drops off.
Yeah, because it never doesn't turn out like exactly what you're thinking.
Just even like physically moving, like setting something up or sitting down and like making those actual maneuvers and planning out a time and a place.
Yeah,
that's where a lot of people let it drop. But even once you've done that, then it can be just, it's so cold and weird.
That's one of
go through all that.
I think that's one of the things that working out has helped me do. Like I was saying, like having that every day. Like I do that for an hour or two every day, depending on the day, and I've got that time that I set aside that I know that I'm consciously doing something to work to better myself.
Yeah,
but not necessarily something that I want to do. It's fun to me now. But like it wasn't at first. It was like this thing that I had to like put. And if I have that thing that I can do, that makes it or that I do that I'm taking an active part in my own embetterment, or if that's even a word.
Yeah, it is now. That's a good one.
And it's just that carries on into other parts of my life. Where I've got that thing where I've seen results.
Yeah.
I've worked on something for a while and I've seen the results and I'm getting better at it, and that's more motivation. And when I've got something that I'm doing like that I can keep doing and keep that sort of mindset going with myself, then it helps other things. So like this podcast would have been just an idea, I think, if I hadn't been starting to do that.
Yeah, fuck yeah, man. Creating a pattern of like every day having like an act of will overcome the bullshit parts, like what is that, like that thing that makes people give up before
the demons in their head telling them that.
Yeah, that's like I think it's a simple thing though. It's like maybe a confidence thing. I always look at kind of like dumb people, like guys that are really smart and sensitive and probably kind, that can't get laid or hang out with women, right? They don't know how to talk to them. And then you look at like some dopey fuck who's like got nothing going on upstairs, probably not even that nice of a guy, who's always hanging around women, right?
Yeah.
It's this weird thing that they're so clueless that they don't realize that they have no sense of trepidation really about things. So people, I think like you and me, I can identify with that feeling of like you can see things from a lot of angles. You can kind of, you're sensitive and aware, and that can create a lot of opportunity for your mind to kind of tell you, you can start to lose confidence once you start seeing bigger picture, Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a lot that goes into that kind of thing, It's like some people are just fucking, by society standards, whatever, gorgeous, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they just get handed shit. And not even handed shit, just told that everything they do is good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and even when people don't think it is, it's just like,
or
wow.
They don't even notice or care really sometimes. I think some people, from the teenage years on, like kind of, they just get this, they're active and they're, whatever that is, socially kind of just, things are happening and they just never stop to really think about like what their motives are or whatever.
Yeah.
Enough to even be deterred from their ideas or impulses. But then they don't have a lot of ideas probably. Trying to do something like a podcast or make music or write stuff or be a writer or an artist or something or a painter. I'm sure these are things that, no one's gonna give you the time and space to do it. No one's gonna set you up and be like, all right, I can't wait to see what you've created.
Unless your parents have money,
I guess.
Yeah, or something like that.
But emotionally,
you're just lucky.
Emotionally, though, I mean, it's not. No one's gonna give you permission or really encourage you on that level. It's more of a thing where you gotta almost believe in it.
Yeah, or I guess if you have good parents, not necessarily rich parents, but like really supportive growing up, that kind of thing where you've got parents that they don't have a certain idea that they want, of you that they want you to turn out as. They
Yeah.
see what you are and they like nurture what it looks like you're good at or whatever, you know, and they do it in a positive way or whatever. And that's, I think, a lot of what people don't have these days is, you know.
Yeah, my favorite living female, well, my favorite probably female songwriter, singer ever, Kate Bush.
Mm-hmm.
Like her childhood was like that, where I think her dad was a doctor or whatever. But you know, there's a lot of music going on in the house, and I guess she would like from a young age, like you know, prepubescent, would write just these elaborate songs and go and play them for her dad first. And so even to the point where her career was starting, he'd be the first person that she'd play her songs for. He's always really encouraging and stuff. And I mean, like she's amazing. Her stuff is absolutely just kills me.
Yeah, it reminds me of another story kind of similar. Who was it? Tori Amos has kind of a similar story.
Oh, really?
I think she has like her dad's a minister or something like that. But they've always, I guess, been really supportive of her doing her music or whatever, which is kind of, you know, you wouldn't think would be.
That's weird that you'd say Tori Amos too, because a lot of people, especially Kate Bush fans or whatever, claim that, you know, Tori Amos probably was very deeply inspired by Kate Bush's music. I think you can listen to some old Kate Bush stuff and you hear this Tori Amos thing happening, and I think Tori Amos has gone on record as saying like, "Oh yeah, I mean she's all right. I don't really listen to her." I find that hard to believe a little bit, but
well, maybe not. I mean, it's just well, you know, like we were just talking about. They have kind of maybe a similar background as far as, you know.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah, I mean,
as far as the kind of, you know, environment they were brought up in.
That's another thing about songwriting. People that their first language of music is the piano. It seems like there's such a deeper thing that can happen melodically and musically with the songs that they write.
Yeah, there's a lot. That's the music or the instrument that I started out with when I started music.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I always thought that it's like it's all out in front of you.
Yeah.
It's all there, and you can see it.
Yeah.
And you can see what note comes after which always. It's just in a line, and it's all right there. Whereas opposed to something like guitar, where it's like kind of this cryptic, like, okay, you put your fingers in this weird position that you can't really like string together in your head, but it makes a chord.
You got to memorize it as opposed to be able to do the math right.
Yeah, and I guess there's a point like some people can get that way with a guitar, but
so
I was never able to.
On paper or whatever, in theory, the piano would be the simpler instrument, other than the fact that you got to do two separate things completely with.
Yeah, that's a little
hands.
difficult. But I mean, it's the same with guitar because you're picking and like, learning how to double pick versus like what you're doing with your left hand. And
I suppose, but
I would equate it in
to do the simplest things for me on a piano though. You're doing a bass like line kind of deal.
Yeah,
like
there's exercises.
Melody.
There's like exercises you can do that are just real simple where you like focus on doing something just real simple but different.
I'm gonna have you teach me a couple of those exercises. Yeah,
pat your head, rub your belly kind of thing.
Walking and chewing gum.
Yeah, but I mean, no, it is one of the like major hurdles to get over with it. But
yeah,
but still, I mean, piano is undeniably one of the easier instruments I've ever learned to play. I mean, it's just because for that reason that it's all just right there. You can see it, and it's really easy to visualize. You don't even have to visualize it because it is right there.
Yeah,
and it's easier to like close your eyes and do because you know. You can just kind of feel where your fingers are, like easier versus like some other instruments. I suppose with a horn or something like that, where it's different, where your hands are always in the same position, and it's just like.
Yeah, well, some of those brass instruments where you have to use the tension in your lips and stuff.
Oh yeah, to control a trumpet or a trombone. Yeah.
I can't imagine. Wow.
I've tried. I mean, I can make the noise for some octave, I think, but not. I can't hold it. That's just like.
It's like baby talk. They can make sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People that can just wail on a trumpet though really impress me.
Oh shit, yeah.
It's just.
Have you heard Sophie Hunger? Have you heard her music?
No.
Well, she's a female singer-songwriter who plays guitar, and her band is her and like I think there's like a bass player, maybe a drummer, and then this fucking slide trombone player that plays this muted trombone, and it makes the music so sexy and moody, and it's amazing to me.
A muted trombone.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You know, like the wow wow. You know, yeah.
Yeah,
and it just adds this depth and this like you know, it takes it out of time and space. It kind of puts it in this kind of what's that word? Like a whimsical, like it could be from another time or something like that. It's not really like locked into a time or something like that. I don't know. It kind of just creates this whole area that she can work in. It's amazing to me what that one instrument can do for her. I mean she's good on enough, like on her own, which is a guitar, but yeah, that can really create a space as far as moods go and all that.
Yeah, it's amazing what some people can do with just an instrument in themselves.
Yeah,
I mean,
I know.
it's I've never been able to get to a point like that. I don't think. I
Yeah,
mean, it's where I always felt like the music I wanted to make, I always had to have like extra stuff in it to make it sound the way I wanted or whatever. And then some people are just able to like take something really simple and like turn it into.
yeah, man. And when I see that happen, I get really inspired because, to me, I got to be honest. I'll just be flat out honest right now. It's often very heartbreaking for me to be pursuing what I am pursuing and really just be left with, what I have to work with, just a guitar, and a harmonica, or if a harmonica in a voice, because I don't have the best voice, and I can hold my own on guitar, but I have yet to really paint my masterpiece, I guess. But I was listening to John Frusciante's. There's a live album, live at ATP festival or something, right? And so he's just playing on one guitar, one acoustic guitar, and he's playing a bunch of his songs. And there's a song called Fallout where it's just this I don't know, 4, 5, 6 notes repeating thing that happens over and over again. And then he starts singing in falsetto. And by the second or third line into the song, I looked over at the person I was sitting with. I was hearing it for the first time, and I was just like, this is one dude with one guitar. And we were just both just like in awe of like, what the fuck? Like, I mean, just with the simplest little riff and just a little singing, but something about how does a person clear away all the stuff going on in your head that fast with their music?
Yeah, I don't know. So few people are good at that, at least by themselves.
Is that a thing you can learn?
I don't know. Maybe. I feel like I've got there with some songs, like some songs that I've written.
Yeah.
But never like on stage. I've always played. I'll like have a guitar and I'll play a song I wrote at a party. I haven't even done that in a long time, but
Yeah.
and it'll get like like the reaction that I always want it to get on stage, and then it just never does. And
I wrote a song in like 2000, I don't know, earlier 2000s, like 2004 or 5. And at the time I wrote it, it was just it was what it was. I put it on a 4-track. It's like a acoustic guitar, maybe 2 tracks and some vocals. It's a really quiet song using nature metaphors kind of deal. And at the time I wrote it and that recording, man, people that heard it responded really like well. It was the best response I got. They were just like, "Wow, this is really blah blah." They feel like they connected to it, and I got to say, it came across on that recording. And I think I played it live a few times around that time period and kind of put it away. And I'd played it a few times in the last few years, and I got to tell you, every time I'd get on stage and play that song, within the first line that I'm singing, I'm like thinking, "Fuck, this was a big mistake," because I got to play this whole thing now, and it's just I can't feel it. There's no way I can't feel it. I'm just thinking the whole time everyone's bored, and those times, that feeling is pretty rough afterwards.
yeah,
But I kind of gave it up again, and then within the last week or so, I've been reapproaching it, and I went out and played it Tuesday, with my head straight, and what I'm told is that it came across pretty well. I can't speak to that, but I can tell you that I didn't feel as awful about it. I still feel like I could have connected more to it, but I think at least I slowed it down and I focused on keeping it in its mood or something, rather than getting flustered by it. As far as that feeling, because it's a quieter, slower one, and that's hard to do when you're not sure if people, you don't want to bore them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the quieter songs that you play, like when you're putting a set together, it's always really important to like where to put it in the set, because it's like you don't want to like have them up. You don't want to have them like so like hyped up. If you can get them, even call yourself even getting them there. But and then take them down and then like keep them there for too long. It's always got to get us like.
Well, it can be a lot easier for me to do is to kind of get it up tempo and get it in a with the right melodies, especially with harmonies in it, and just a little up tempo thing can really put a good easy vibe going on in people.
Yeah.
And even sadder songs that have like a tempo and a good melody, especially with harmonies, I've been finding it can go over really well.
Yeah.
That song I wrote, it's weird. It's like sparse and quiet, and it's been tricky. But yeah, to hear somebody else do that with one guitar and one voice, it just gives me like that feeling of like, oh, I know I can figure this out. I know I can do this.
I watched this movie. It was an okay movie. I think it was called Citadel, and it had this chick, this Irish singer that I had this song that came up. What was her name? But yeah, it hit me like that. It was like it was just a song that played during the credits. I guess it was like in some scene or whatever, and I was just like, after the movie was over, I was like, oh, that was all right, because it was a really good movie for the first like 2/3 of it, and then the last third of it was kind of like, I didn't want it to go here.
Yeah.
And then, but then I played this song, and I'm like, what the fuck is this song? It just like pulled me right out of it.
So what
like,
was the arrangement? Like what kind of instruments?
It was just her and a guitar. It was like a harmony. It was someone else singing too. I think there was like maybe playing just like a simple violin, but it was, and it was, but it was just like that.
Yeah.
It was just it was creating this mood that that is so hard that some people.
Yeah.
I see some musicians try so hard to achieve.
I think he just made me realize something. I think it just occurred to me. There's a difference between what one guy does with a guitar and a voice when he's trying. Like I think for a long time I might have been trying to fill, like not like reproduce what a whole band would sound like, but trying to fill up the space of a band, kind of, or like trying to do more with the guitar, make it more of like a thing. But I think what you're talking about is those songs that have that. There's a lonesome quality in it, like Bob Dylan's "Blood on the Tracks." It's like a couple instruments or one and a voice.
Yeah.
And what works about it, I think, is there's this kind of what's the word for like one person? It sounds like a person alone.
Solitary.
Yeah, solitary. Yeah, kind of a vibe. There's something about that I think is what works with those things.
Yeah.
I'm kind of just now realizing as we speak.
This was Ann Scott is her name. It looks like
Ann Scott.
Ann Scott. Yeah, like never heard of her before.
Well, I'm anxious to hear that song sometime. The name
Ann
of
Scott,
it?
"Love Is in Him" is the name of the song.
Okay, I'm gonna write that down actually.
I would play it, but I'm afraid of getting in trouble.
Yeah, you and your fears, man. That's actually.
I've heard
what
it's
I'm here
okay
to talk about.
if you talk over the song and like critique it.
Oh yeah. It's what is that? Can I use one of those pieces of paper?
Yeah.
What do they call that? The something act where you're allowed to use it for critique or study or something.
Yeah.
Ann Scott.
You know what? Let's just do that. We'll talk a little bit over it. And
Wouldn't that ruin it? What's it called? He's in me? Is that about Jesus?
Love is in him.
Love is in him. Yeah, play it, man.
Yeah, fuck it.
Take me,
Yeah.
Mary.
See, like already.
Yeah, those harmonies.
I've been waiting in the shadow,
And the guitar's not sloppy. That's helping.
swimming takes me with you. Loving.
Really nice voice too.
Yeah. Yeah, gentle.
Found a voice that goes well with it too.
Do you
Right
think
here. Just adds
banjo?
yeah. Just adds that one note down low just to make it like a little more intense for a little.
Do you think it matters what she's talking about? Think that helps or hurts it?
I've been living.
It depends on if you can understand what they're saying or not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you can't understand it and you like it, it's
If you can understand it and it says stuff that you find to be kind of cliche or even yeah, that can be hard.
yeah. But then some songs you can be like that. The rest of the music is so good that it just doesn't matter. Like
There's a lot of songs that I've probably
and vocals in general, I tend to have to ignore sometimes. Like honestly, it's an unpopular opinion, but Led Zeppelin,
yeah.
like I'm not a big fan of. I'm gonna go ahead and turn that off. I won't play the whole song, but. Yeah, great song. Ann Scott, "Love Is in Him." Go check her album out if you want. I haven't yet, but I probably should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm definitely interested. So Led Zeppelin, the vocals.
Yeah, not a big fan.
Yeah.
It's a lot of woman, and just
Wait,
like
can you do that again? Yeah. Dude, I was listening to Days of Confused on a record when I was a youngster, just stoned to the bone, and like, I just was, I was so taken out of the cool, like the whatever he's doing with the bow by that orgasm thing he's doing. And I
Oh,
was
yeah.
like, what the fuck? Why is he making it about that? This song could be about something really interesting.
Yeah. And he just doesn't ever seem to like nail his voice to me. It's just
Yeah.
like you said earlier, like it reminded me of Led Zeppelin sloppy. I mean,
Yeah.
they were in a sloppy band, really, but his vocals are kind of like,
You know, over the years I've come to like appreciate him a lot more, but I see what you're saying about that, definitely, and I agree that even if those vocals are unappealing or that they whatever, there's
yeah, I can't say I
something about-
dislike Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, their music
at
is
all.
still really, there's something amazing.
Even, even his vocals in it, sometimes it's like the appropriate thing, even though it's not like
Yeah.
what I would have done, or it's like
totally. Yeah.
his vocal, his voice by itself doesn't really.
Well, I think Guns N' Roses
my
is a
cookie.
prime example as well.
Yeah,
Where, I mean,
well,
Axl-
that's even more so because he's Axl Rose is so integral in the sound.
Yeah, yeah.
Guns N' Roses wouldn't be Guns N' Roses without Axl Rose.
But there's like so many like elements right in your face about his stuff that's so like.
yeah,
know
no,
what
I know
I
what
mean?
you, I know what you mean. It's just like,
But it's almost like their music's so cool that it's okay. It could be like that, and I could still love.
yeah,
it.
and with them, to me, it's like his attitude is kind of part of it.
Yeah.
honestly, it's like Van Halen. They're not the same without David Lee Roth,
They're not the same, no.
and David Lee Roth is a fucking
Yeah,
he's a wild man. I
Yeah.
guess is what I could say about David Lee Roth.
Diamond Dave, man.
Yeah, I mean, and his solo stuff after that was not good, and nothing Van Halen did after that was really all that good. And,
Well, I would hesitate to say it's not good.
not good. I wouldn't say not. Okay, not good, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Not,
yeah, yeah.
It's not what it wasn't Van Halen to me.
Yeah, and it's definitely probably not a lot of the kind of thing I would be really interested in hearing a lot of.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, when I say not good, obviously I just mean like.
Yeah, compared
Not
to
my
the- yeah,
thing.
exactly.
But yeah,
I could see how you'd say that. Just talking about the lineup that you really enjoyed with Roth. The music they're putting out. Hot for Teacher. I think you showed me that riff years ago.
oh yeah, that's one of their greatest songs, totally.
Yeah, shit, yeah.
And
so many good songs.
we compare that to "Why Can't This Be Love?"
Yeah, yeah.
or "Right Now, Hey, It's Your Tomorrow."
There's that thing about bands that there's bands that hit it when they're kind of young dudes in their early days, and they kind of over the first 3 or so albums kind of develop their thing, and then they have this peak year period where they put out a few albums and they're just hot shit, and then at some point they'll become a parody of themselves. They don't want to grow up with their music. I mean, they want to let their music grow up with them. They feel like they can't afford to. At some point, it becomes inauthentic, and it's.
They're like Metallica.
I mean,
They've changed a little bit. But like they.
well, I guess they're an
They're
interesting. one.
really trying to like appeal to the kids still. It seems like, and I don't think they're in touch
On their
at
latest
all.
album, you think the one with Rick?
And
Rubin?
everything since the Black Album.
Yeah, I saw that documentary.
I haven't seen a documentary.
Well, there's that documentary where they're in the studio, making their last record with Bob Rock, and like they have like a
Oh, is that?
what do they call it? A psychiatric counselor?
Yeah,
a
I've
therapist
heard
there?
about the movie.
Yeah, well, there's this part where they're like kind of getting on Kirk Hammett about like not putting solos in it. And they're like, well, dude, because like none of the music now has like guitar solo. No one's like into guitar solo, whatever. And like we don't want to sound dated. And then like everyone kind of goes on talking and whatever. And Kirk Hammett's just kind of sitting there and he just says to no one who's listening, he says, yeah, but if we do that, then won't we be dating it to now? And I think he had a good point.
Yeah.
Because that time period of whatever music, I mean, I'm sure there's people that like it, but I fucking couldn't stand that
Well-
kind of shit, that new metal shit with no
Oh
solos.
yeah. This when metal slowed down and.
I mean, that's one of the many reasons. that-
Metallica had like a very direct hand in causing that with the Black Album. I think
well, the Black Album still had good solos. I mean, that
it
was
had good.
definitely-
Well, no, but like that was
they had more
slowed
ballads.
down.
Yeah, more ballads and
And
stuff.
it wasn't just more ballads. It was like all the song like.
Yeah,
instead
Inner
of going
Sandman. Yeah.
It was like.
Yeah.
Like
Was that the first one Bob Rock produced with them?
I don't. Maybe I don't.
I don't know if he did Injustice for All or not. I'm not sure.
And Justice for All had that weird sort of production quality to it.
It was progressive. It was like there was mathematics. When I listen to that album, I
Oh
hear,
yeah,
I
like
hear
Black
math.
Guy.
Just so much math going on. You know what I'm
And,
saying? Like just all these
Dyer's Eve isn't that
intricate.
on?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, well, yeah, that load and reload shit. I feel like that was. I don't know if that was like them not growing up, as much as that was them like. I don't know.
Is
just going through
them
some
growing
thing.
up? I was thinking, yeah, they didn't want their music to grow up, though. I think is what they. I mean, they wanted it to.
How can you really? Yeah, James used to be. His lyrics were like from a place of whatever, very authentic,
Yeah.
very like unselfconscious.
And it just
then
kind of
at some
became
point,
like trucker.
he's like, how do I be?
ballads
How do I
and-
be James Hetfield? Is
Yeah.
this James Hetfield enough?
Yeah, I mean, if it's
Yeah, that's got to be a mistake to let yourself go there as an artist.
yeah, and I think it's because they started trying to just appeal to the kids instead of just trying to be whatever the fuck they were and be a band that just
They
like
probably
played
felt a
music.
lot of pressure to be able to live up to what they, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I guess that's true. I mean,
legend. Yeah, you can't
because
fucking...
when you go see Metallica, you don't want to see them play anything before or after the Black Album. And when you do see them, they don't really. They'll play a
Yeah.
couple songs off load. They'll
I
play
don't know.
that-
Their last album with Rick Rubin was interesting. I didn't give it as much of a chance, and of course, I think I was more impressionable at the age that I was listening to their older shit.
Right.
I think I'm at an age now where I guess music still gets to me here and there, but it's not like it was back then where everything just sinks right in.
Oh yeah, all those hormones rushing through you. Just,
Yeah. But I mean, their latest album, I gotta say, was pretty impressive. I was pretty excited. I thought it was like back to true to form.
Well, I'd be
and
willing to
shit.
give it a.
It's worth a
Oh,
listen.
I think I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
The lyrics might not have been as cool or whatever, but like it definitely was great musically.
That's cool.
It's,
I'll have to
you
give it a
know.
try. I haven't really listened to it.
It was Injustice for Ollie a little bit. It's pretty cool.
No, we were talking about earlier, Tori Amos not. I don't know why I remember this again. You were talking about Tori Amos not saying she never listened to Kate Bush.
Yeah.
Remember Godsmack?
Oh God.
Some interview with them saying they never listened to Alice in Chains.
Yeah. Well, you took your name from their song.
Yeah.
I never listened to Alice in Chains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That shit is
Yeah.
rampant, man.
Yeah. What's up with that, man? Yeah. I think the thing where you like the image. I think that's the fucking problem with commercial music is that like you got it's a fucking industry, so they got to market it. I mean, this conversation's been happening forever, but not to beat a dead horse, but from the musician's perspective, from the songwriter's perspective, like when you're being creative, that's the point. Is it's exciting, that feeling of creating something and it's coming together, it's working out. You can see where it's going, and discovery and all that shit. And then right after that, you're excited to perform it and to share it right with people or to record it. But man, when you have to have an image, or if you accidentally come upon one, like you see some musicians they get a reputation, and then to get to forget who you are. I think that's why the good ones like Bob Dylan, I mean, that's what he was down for, is that he started to peak being the acoustic folk singer and shit, and then so his move was like to get the band, the electric guitars and shit, and people were booing. I mean, just hated it, and he toured right along, and he just told them to fuck off and keep playing, and now that shit's looked like it's classic shit. And like all the great artists that I think people love that have endured have definitely grown up. Their music grows up with them.
Yeah.
They if anything, they'll kill their own image before its time has come, just to be able to be authentic still.
Yeah, if they're great, it grows up with them and it doesn't turn into just like,
Yeah.
like adult contemporary songs about growing up,
Yeah.
like a lot of musicians do get into that when they do start growing up and their music starts to like.
Yeah, and they're still singing about like teenage crushes and shit or whatever kind of deal, or like just like.
Yeah, or literally just songs about like getting old and like.
Oh, I see.
You know what I mean? Like, and their music starts to take on a certain feel that a lot of music takes. When
Yeah,
you know what I mean, when they get older, because there's something to that youthful vibrance that gives music.
Yeah.
What people are looking for in it.
Willie Nelson is definitely not falling into that, but I there are guys of that generation, maybe a little younger, whose music I'll hear when they're older, in their older days, and I'll feel that way about it. Like I can't relate, and I can't judge it though and say that they shouldn't have done it. It's not good, because obviously like that's what they feel like, and maybe there's people that like it, but it's disappointing to me to lose the, to like.
Yeah.
But again, that's something I probably have to learn as far as my ability to appreciate music, in order to be able to.
I don't know if it's really like
make
something
it.
to learn. It's just like.
Well, I think
something clicks with the ears. It doesn't.
I'm coming
It's
from.
just-
Well, I just mean about judgment, because I'm coming from a place of like a songwriter who has not written yet any of the songs that I feel that I got in me. The thing that I'm pursuing when I write songs, I don't feel like I've gotten to it yet, but I can see the path, kind of, you know what I'm saying? And like, I think the judgment thing, it's what hinders a lot of my creativity and
yeah, being able to accept something as influence.
yeah, the fear of writing something that's not good, the fear of writing something, whatever. And then also like the more I look at other artists and judge and like, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's hard not to do that though. It's really fucking hard. Not
It is kind of hard not to do that.
I mean, it's easy, and it's you should judge them if they're not being authentic, if they're being fuckers and like putting on an image and trying to make you believe in something that's not real, and then fuck them.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I don't remember what the name of this band was, but it's the first time I'd ever seen a band get booed off the stage.
What was it?
And it was this band I was in high school, and we played this. The first time I ever heard this band was in this battle of the bands that I was in with this band of the high school. They won, and we got second. And it was just like
We's the Investigators, right?
I will edit that name out.
Whoa, shit.
Yeah, no, and so I forget what the name of this band was, but they had that quality that kids liked. You know, they were like really likable guys that had giant smiles. They all dressed nice, and they had just like this nice poppy sound that I hated at the time.
Yeah.
Like it was probably something I would be like more open to now, but at the time it was just like, yeah, fuck that, I'm punk rock kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
And it was just like, but then what made me like them is I saw them later at this other show at what was then the Rock Candy in Seattle, and it was just somehow they got booked on like a metal show or something like that, or it was like some other kind of like hardcore show, and they were just that shit thrown at them, just full water bottles with the top thrown off, just thrown right at them. They got all their instruments soaked, and they just sat there and they played their entire set. They didn't get off the stage.
Whoa!
They just smiled super big and were like, "We got about 8 more songs left, guys. This is." Guys, they're just taking their time between songs.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
How could you not respect that shit?
Right. And it's, I mean, it taught me a lesson, you know, judging.
Yeah.
Because they definitely had, I never would have stood through all that. I would have gotten all frustrated and like stormed off, you know, at least especially at the time, you know, what was I, fucking 19 or something? Like.
In my life, I've been constantly taught lessons about judging. I mean, I often realize I've judged someone once they've, totally blown me away. Like that kid I was telling about earlier, this kid in town that I've come across, he's probably the best songwriter I've ever been around or personally met. When I first met him, like 10, 20 minutes before I saw him play for the first time, I assumed that he did not know anything about guitar. I assumed that he was just wouldn't have any clue and wouldn't sound good. And then he just utterly slayed me. I mean, I was fucking in awe of that shit. Yeah, and I'm constantly reminded, like, why did I judge that kid? Why did I think that he knows what the fuck he's doing?
Well, someone in an image, you know, like someone dresses a certain way, or like, you know, they just have like a certain accent or something.
Something.
You know, whatever it is. It's
so
weird.
Well, now when I look at him or whatever, I see he looks just like a guy who's really amazing at what he does. It's so weird, you know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, punk rock, I think, is a thing that kind of, that whole punk rock ethos kind of has a tendency to like create it within its victims a worldview that can get narrow and can kind of be
definitely
not hateful, but just kind of bitter, I guess, towards
or like entitled.
Yeah, bitter towards things that
is how I would describe it. It's just sort of like a
elitist in a way, right? Kind of like
elitist. Yeah, well, some of them.
Well, let's just say musically elitist in the sense of like, well, these people are conforming to this or this.
Oh, so musically, it's very narrow. You know, it's very like it has a very certain sound. Unless you know you can extend it out to bands like Devo. I mean, you could say that, especially everything before like 1981 or whatever. You know, like when Whip It came around. Or
yeah, what was that? What do they call it? What was it? New wave, kind of like born out of the punk thing that got a little poppy, right? I mean, I guess.
Yeah, but there's a lot of bands like that you could consider punk rock. But other than that, I mean, for me, punk rock is like the Circle Jerks and like Angry Samoans and just teenagers that just scream unabashedly whatever the fuck that's on their teenage mind into a microphone. Like that, and just like act wild, wild teenagers.
Fuck yeah, man.
The wild teenager music, and I still like it. To that extent, I could listen to a Circle Jerks album. I could listen to Group Sex.
I never really got into them, but Dead Kennedys.
Or Dead Kennedys for sure. Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing about East Bay Ray. Guitar players don't really talk about him. I don't see him talked about in
He's
guitar
really
magazines.
Good.
Not just really good. I mean, this dude, like, he created like soundscapes and like just whole vibes for every album of theirs had such a different feel. feel like plastic surgery disasters with this just psychedelic surf fucking
Oh, yeah.
thrashy, just
Oh,
awesome shit. Yeah,
It's-
just
yeah, there's a texture. is the
tremendous.
definite
Yeah.
word for that.
And
yeah.
then bedtime for democracy with that, just clean, just like chorded. You know what I'm talking about? Just like dink, 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 that kind of shit.
Yeah.
Like,
and then you listen to like Frankenchrist, and it's very like
yeah, that's got like a
rock.
It's got like a R&B, almost not completely, but like there's texture between the bass and the percussion and the guitar that's more sparse and swings a little bit more, I think, than some of
Yeah.
the other shit. Yeah. Yeah, interesting, that guy. He doesn't get talked about much in guitar circles.
Yeah, I don't think he didn't really go on to do much else.
Well, yeah, there's that, and then I guess like their stance they took towards the music industry at the time they probably kind of created a relationship with people that would talk about them in magazines or whatever that wasn't from the
Yeah,
get-go.
they didn't want to anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And they probably don't even want it in the first place.
Yeah.
Except for now, they're, or at least you remember when they tried to tour with like some other singer. It was like the
Oh,
singer
yeah.
for
They did that with like 3 different singers. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But then I saw
Don't you think that's kind of fucking weird? Those guys were so good musically. Why? If you're still together with a band that you did that much awesome shit with, right? And the singer's not there. Okay, I get it. That kind of sucks. But like, you're all still together and want to do it. Wouldn't you just maybe get a different singer, do a new thing? I mean, just make new shit.
yeah, I mean,
That's what they were
I would
doing then.
assume, or that's what I would do, I guess. But
Fucking, I guess bands. Can we think of one band that did that? I guess Velvet Revolver did that.
yeah, and
Who else?
That didn't turn out all that great.
Well, I didn't care for the music that much, but then again, I didn't listen to all of it. But I just, yeah. But still, though, I mean, they did it. They
Yeah.
did a new thing.
Oh, and then there's if you want to get other famous
Well,
bands
they
like
can have-
Audio Slave,
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
and that
Wait, but that was just Rage. Okay, there you
it
go.
was Rage
Audio
Against the
Slave,
Machine
yeah.
with
Yeah. Okay. But they kind of didn't they just dump his ass when the homeboy wanted to come back, or did it?
Is that
was
what
it-
I think
was
they
it
just
mutual?
stopped? I don't know. Or no, Chris Cornell's back with Soundgarden, made a new album.
Yeah, but that was after though, right? I thought. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
know,
even
yeah.
care.
Yeah.
Chris Cornell's over the hump for me.
Yeah.
I really liked Soundgarden. Their new stuff isn't that bad, really. It's just
I didn't care for Audio Slave, but I watched one of their performances. I think their first one as when they reunited in Brazil or whatever the fuck it was, a huge festival thing. And I was looking at Chris Cornell. I was thinking, I like him again.
Yeah.
I was thinking like I mean I didn't dislike him. It didn't do anything for me.
he got really. It's really tough when a musician of that caliber or of that stature, that's been that successful, I guess, does like really emotional music. You know what I mean?
Like what do you mean? His music was always kind of emotional, wasn't it? Usually.
Yeah, no, but I mean, but really like
Like you're talking about his solo album?
yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
even
he-
some of the stuff he did with Audio Slave, like just like the really like
Did you find that off-putting?
yeah.
See, I didn't really notice that, but
I mean, it's just
that's
that
not the thing that stood out to me about Audio Slave. But
well, maybe it's just a thing I have because I've noticed that it's another thing like with Trent Reznor. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah,
he
yeah.
he sings an awful lot about dark things that he's got no business really talking about. That he doesn't, at least as a person.
yeah,
So
something.
it seems kind of disingenuous to me.
I always felt that at the time too when like the big first couple albums of theirs were out. I used to feel like it was a bit of a put on, but at that age that I was at, maybe at that time, what it wasn't extremely off putting. I think they were still reaching some kind of peak, but
Yeah,
now
well,
you see
especially
it,
the
it's
first
like, yeah.
the first albums. That at least he's somewhat independent.
Yeah, and
but-
it's unique enough and original.
yeah, and then there was that whole story with getting fucked over by the first record label, and then did those other 2 EPs. Or
I don't know
whatever,
about that story.
We're talking about Nine Inch Nails still, right?
Yeah.
Trent Reznor got fucked over by allegedly got fucked over by his first record label,
So they signed a deal, and then he.
and he got I don't remember exactly what happened. I could probably look it up.
Is it,
I don't care
did the
that
first
much,
album
but-
come out on that, or did?
Yeah, the first album, the
Pretty
Pre-Hate
Hate
Machine.
Machine,
Yeah, I guess he doesn't get a whole lot of money for that, or I don't know if.
Yeah, those first deals I think are most people's deals like that are just horrific.
Yeah, and then so that's then Broken, that EP that came out
Yeah,
next. It was
yeah.
all really angry and like
Okay.
it was all post. He just got fucked over by his record label, and now it was a definite shift in his music too, where it was
Yeah.
like it was all poppy and kind of like it was talking about weird dark shit, but
Yeah.
it was more Depeche Mode-y, and then it
Yeah.
turned into more like
Yeah.
Ministry E stuff.
And he really hit it big there with that next one.
Yeah, as he should have, because that was a masterpiece. That
Really-
that EP
yeah, it was
is
good.
used to this day. That's still good shit.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, and then he gets big, and then comes out with songs like "Hurt," and it's like, where the fuck does that song come from, really? I mean, I don't know the guy. I guess I don't. But it's hard.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's that attitude of like, there's this fuck, it's the worst kind of romanticism. Like, I'm a total romantic, right? Like, but there's this. It's like it's really cut.
It's romanticizing dark, like bad things.
So if romance is the drug, it's like cut with this, in order to sell more of it, you've only got a certain supply. You want to cut it and sell a bunch of it, right? They cut it with like some kind of self-adulation or some kind of neat, like hey, adore me, or like, hey, look how dark I am, or like something about attention seeking.
I think maybe it's like a demographic thing, like teenagers, like the biggest market, I guess, young people.
Yeah, and they want to idolize someone or something.
And they want to identify with something. That's kind of how teenagers feel more, is if you have like really dark feelings about themselves and things.
I guess
they're trying to work through all that shit still.
If I look at the creativity angle of Downward Spiral, it's all there, right? Like, I'm totally impressed.
Yeah.
But then, there's this like affectation level of it that it's mixed with. That is, that's the thing that makes it not like to me, anyways. There's that element that's the part of that makes it not one of those kind of albums that forever endures in my heart. Even though I spent a lot of time with it at the time, definitely respect it highly. But there's something that takes me out of it a little bit.
Yeah,
I think it's
I think they've done better stuff since then. The Fragile, I thought, was better than that.
I didn't get too familiar with that one.
Yeah, I didn't either until like years after it came out, and then I gave it a shot. But I mean, they're not my favorite band either.
Yeah, you do like that kind of more industrial kind of sounds, though, right? I mean, that's something you're into.
Yeah.
So, what kind of electronic music have you been into, really? I mean, what is it like? I don't really know much about electronic music.
Well, I mean, I'm not like a big expert on it either.
No, I just mean like, what's your thing? What kind of stuff is it that you find interesting, and what?
Dubstep. Just kidding. No, I mean, when I grow up, I listened to a lot of Ministry.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
And I liked that, and I liked KMFDM a lot. That kind of thing. It was because I was into metal when I was really young. I'm learning to play guitar, trying to figure out all the Metallica songs and stuff like that, and then
because it's aggressive, but then it's got that kind of like that kind of hypnotic, what the fucking, it's like digital, weird. What is that feeling? That industrial sound that.
Yeah, it's more like a dance music kind of thing where it's like it's more repetitive, and it's got that like kind of more padded like kind of swirly sound in the background a little.
There's something like there's a sense of like when you have a wire too close to something and the speaker's buzzing, that impede. What do they call that?
Oh,
like an electronic thing that kind of like is part of the sound. I don't know. Whatever. It's that element of like
noise,
bloody electronics spilling out into
it's
stuff.
not necessarily a pleasant noise.
Yeah, everything's like washed in it.
Yeah, but it's definitely part of it.
I can see how that kind of adds an interesting layer. And genres are weird.
Yeah, and where they come from is.
Yeah, I as a musician and songwriter, I don't. I couldn't imagine wanting to be put in a genre or try to make stuff that was genre specific. Really, other than just.
I totally see why people do it. I mean, I've been in bands.
Because where are you gonna get? How is anyone gonna like?
Because it's easy. Because when you have like a sound that's basically the songs write themselves.
Yeah. But
when you have a sound like a style that's that defined, like a reggae song.
Yeah.
Anybody can literally write a reggae song.
Yeah, a reggae song. I could write a reggae song. I don't know if I'd do reggae forever.
You wouldn't want to, but you could if you really did. You could churn out.
But I mean, but the whole thing that makes
for
me
the rest of your life.
Like music and want to do it all the time is like that. It gets defeated by that.
Right. No, but a lot of people I think look for the easier thing to do.
So do you think they're not in it because it's music is like more of like
and it's more of an accessory.
Yeah, it's like
to their image. Yeah.
It's like some people's careers. They're like, well, I went to school to learn to do this, and now I do this for a living. It's not because it's my passion, but it's like this. I need to do something. I just figured this.
Well, that or just like it is what they want but it's just really what they want is just to be able to tell people that's what they do, and so like they just want to take the easy road to be able to say that that's them, and so they I'm in a band and we play. I'm trying to think of a, reggae is one, but some of the kind of music that's just, punk rock even, we're in a pop punk band,
Yeah.
like a song.
But you
anybody
also
can,
know that you have a certain demographic of people that are already have an appetite for what you're going to put there. I guess
Right.
that will help you, I guess, get legs.
right. Especially if you have friends that are, in that sort of scene. I guess
Yeah.
that's what they call it these days, huh? The scene.
Yeah, I guess. Well, that might be a downfall for me, anyways. I guess because I find that I can't quite think about that angle of it of trying to like market yourself or something like that. That seems to me it's
Yeah.
just none of my business. Like so, I mean, I suppose if I got a good
And
enough,
when you get to a certain level, you don't have to. You pay somebody to do all that for you.
yeah, if I got a good enough body of work together, I could see wanting to work with someone who did do that kind of stuff. But in the meantime, that local kind of angle shit,
Yeah.
that part of it kind of baffles me.
Well, I
It's
don't think that
kinda-
part of it is as important at a certain level down there.
Well, I think that's
It's
what
just-
those guys' success would be like. Is that it's easy to work that system when you have a genre and there is a demographic that you kind of can put their name in a certain way in a certain
Yeah.
place and
Well, and it's in the end, it is just a distilled version of what all musicians do to write songs anyway. It's like even when you've got a certain style defined, you're still like pulling different bits of different
But do you think
things
that
and putting them together,
you
and which is what all musicians do to write songs. You've all everyone that plays an instrument has
yeah, but the
influences.
difference that I see is that somebody who's genre specific,
right. Is how
they would
varied.
they'd be pulling their pieces from a select pile.
Yeah, exactly.
And they'd be like purposely not trying to benefit the song as a piece of work, but as a delivery system
very
for
direct-
something. Yeah,
yeah,
a product kind
directed,
of. Wow, that's
yeah.
weird. This sounds like a cliche conversation, but I never really thought of it like that, like specifically before. I guess
No,
people
it's
talk about
it's a
this
major.
lot.
It's one of the things that really, like we were talking about before the podcast. It really turned me off to like
Yeah,
music business in general because it's just like there's so much just horse shit attitude to deal with.
There's this guy that runs in some of the circuits that the main circuits that I run in when I perform, and I don't want to say his name because just going out. I have nothing bad to say about the guy, by the way, but there's like definitely a way he does it and a way he approaches it. Now he's doing things that I would love to be doing in a way. I mean, right now he's on tour. It's a very kind of a homemade tour, and it's probably not what most people would think of as a tour, but yeah, I mean, he's doing it. He's living the dream. He's playing music for a living every day, and he's traveling. He's doing it. He's got an album he just put out, and when he plays, I mean, it's crazy. A lot of people really like it a lot, and he's very well known. And but the thing is that I just started to realize that he's made this album and he's written all these songs, and he plays those same songs all the time, and he plays them all day, every day almost, and he plays them, and they're really big, like a lot of lung power, a lot of you probably work up a sweat after 2 or 3 of these, right?
Sure.
And I don't know that I could really do that. I mean, even if I wrote songs that I really felt strongly were, they spoke for me, they're good, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if I could do the same thing all the time that much, to that degree, to that level. I mean, I could definitely do it a lot. I could definitely perform it a lot, but I mean, to the level that this dude does it, I don't know if I've almost start to wonder where the fun is at that point.
Yeah, I was talking with Jeff on a podcast a couple weeks ago
Yeah.
about this band that does just covers,
Yeah.
covers the top 40 songs. You've probably heard them around town or heard of them.
I've heard of a lot of bands like that. Yeah,
Yeah, there's a few of them, and they make money.
yeah, I see
know,
what you're
that-
saying. Yeah,
Yeah, like they make money, and
Yes.
I don't really know the guys that well, or I mean at all.
Do you
really,
know
but
of any of the guys well enough to know if any of them have projects that their passion project that they actually are pursuing?
No, I have no.
Because
I
that
have no
would
knowledge of
make
at all.
sense to me.
I think from what I understand, most of them are just family guys. You know what I mean?
Well, that makes sense to me too. Because what
Yeah.
else are you gonna do in your spare time? I guess.
Right, and I think, I suspect, I don't know again that well, but I suspect that it's a lot of it has to do with the fact that they do have kids, that they I've got to do something and they want to play music and they
When
see.
you say top 40, like what kind of songs is
Like, literally,
the
like-
top 40 now? It's like what, Drake and shit. Like I mean,
I mean I haven't watched.
I can't even
I haven't
imagine
seen them play in years, really, honestly.
what
so I don't
top
know.
40.
But they
cover
do a
bands
thing.
like.
They do a thing where they have a website, and they have their fans like vote on what songs they want on their set list.
Whoa.
and the ones that get the most votes they put
Oh
on their
yeah,
set
there's
list.
probably a way larger group of people that would participate and be enthusiastic about that than would be enthusiastic and interested in the things that I think are
Yeah, do
really exciting.
they get Friday, Saturday? I mean, they're booked.
I guess what I'm banking on in this life is that I'm really I'm just believing that there's enough people in the world, and with the internet and with whatever the way things are now, that it's easy for those people to find specific things. I think that's what's happening now, is that people are able to specifically get interested in and like engage with certain things going on, and other people like them, but people that would have never met. They don't go to the same school. They don't live maybe in the same town, but a greater kind of community of these people can kind of find and glom onto the thing they're into.
Yeah, they can, you can see that other people out there are into the same things they are.
So I'm hoping to create something that is it works well in that field of playing field, where like I can create something that's fucking the best it could be, and it's exactly what it is, and it's good enough that I want to move it around and bring it to people. And my only hope is that that there's enough people and they could find it and find out about it, just to the point where I could be able to do it all the time and not have to stop and work some bullshit job. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's kind of
and
my life goal, I guess.
yeah, and mine too. At this point,
Hell yeah.
I have
Yeah, fuck yeah, comedy, dude.
yeah, man. I wish, and
Dude.
with comedy, it's more like I've gotten more out of. I mean, I don't feel comfortable calling myself a comedian, really, but
You're a comic, dude. Of course you are. That's what you do.
yeah. Well, I mean, it is now, and it has been for a few months at least. But I mean, people, and I'm not good at all. It's well, anyway. The point is that that is the point. I'm not good at it, but I've gotten so much more out of it in the past few months than I've gotten out of being a musician like in the past few years.
I bet, because you're fucking confronting something gnarly. Because it's really immediate
Yeah,
when you're up there.
it's
probably
way
telling
different.
jokes.
It's. I mean, there's a lot of similarities, but I mean, as far as being on stage, like I don't really have stage fright. Never really have. It's
Yeah.
not people watching what I do.
Yeah, no, it's...
But when you're playing music, like you almost always get like some claps after a song, right?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like even if it sucks and they don't really like it, they're still kind of like,
Yeah,
"Nah,"
common courtesy type shit.
But like when you're not funny, people don't laugh.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
it's crickets,
'Cause
and it's just
Live comedy works. It works because there's an audience and there's a comic and there's a rhythm, and then the audience has they're both vocal. You know what I mean? And like and yeah, that is brutal. I mean, dude, it's brutal. Like I was just telling you when we first started about that one song I wrote, where it just when I started within the first line, I realized there's been a big mistake, but I have to finish it, and that is a brutal feeling. And I can imagine being up there with your material, your jokes, and and you're not able to connect that shit. It's like, it's not just like neutral. It's not like, it wasn't awesome. It was neutral. No, it wasn't awesome. It fucking.
it's a bad feeling.
I
mean,
want to
it's-
go away now. I'll see you guys later. Like,
yeah, and and the reason I'm getting so much out of it, I think I was just thinking about this now, is that like a lot of what I was doing with the music, it was kind of, especially with music, you kind of have to think of it that way. You have to think of it as like a lot of what you're doing is like a means to an end. You
What's
have to,
the end?
well, playing shows, you know what I mean? Like having a set, playing show, like
having material, basically, right? Like having
right.
good
And it's not
material,
just writing; it's practicing and getting
Yeah,
people
fuck
together,
yeah.
and it's moving your equipment. Every practice day, if you
Yeah,
don't have
yeah,
a place,
yeah.
that you
Yeah.
can just keep it and use it.
Yeah.
And it's all the shit associated with just getting the shit together so you
Yeah.
can get it on stage. Whereas with comedy, you just get on stage.
Yeah.
And you're not really even working on stuff unless, you write.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
you don't know if it's going to work or not until
Yeah.
you take it on stage, and then you've got
that
to rewrite
practice
it.
is
and, like,
performance at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, to a certain extent, excuse me, to a certain extent, it's kind of that way with music, where you get on stage and because songs sound different during practice than they do on stage. And when you get on stage and you actually do it in front of people, it's like,
Yeah.
okay,
Oh, yeah,
I can
yeah.
see that this part kind of sounds
It's
stupid
like adding a
now.
new member to your band. Yeah, definitely.
But
yeah.
stupid parts of a song, get mixed in with the rest of it, and people, you're pretty much the only person that's
Yeah, 'cause
not
music-
appreciating that.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some people out there that don't like that part of the song as much, but overall they're gonna be like, oh, it smells
Yeah, well, with music, like there's so much more of a buffer between really great and just fucking cringeworthy. Like for a group or a band to make a room walk, basically, that would have to be to the point of like painful. I mean, whereas with comedy, it's either fucking funny or it's painful. There is no middle. There's no neutral.
There's a middle.
Where?
There's some like funny guys. There's some like kind of funny guys that aren't like.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like they're mediocre, kind of funny.
Yeah, you know, I mean,
Chuckle.
you watch it, and you
Yeah.
get the medium. That's the best I've ever got so far is the medium laugh.
Oh.
You know, at open mics or whatever.
Have you noticed like that certain crowds are better than others yet? Have you been?
It's
like,
hard for me to tell. I don't know if I've had that many crowds to know. I mean, I know that that's probably true, but
How long are your sets usually?
like 3 minutes usually.
Does that feel like a long time at first or during it? I mean,
No, it doesn't feel like a long time at all to me.
yeah.
It feels like a pretty short time. Yeah, I kind of have to rush it. It seems like. Well, no, you know what? I don't feel like that because when I go back and watch it again, I need to get to stuff faster. There's certain points that I need to get to faster, and I kind of stumble over myself. And it goes a lot better when I rehearse, when I like go through, run through it, and like time it and stuff. And
So if next, because there's that thing where you get on stage and your adrenaline picks up a little bit, but you don't notice it because it's not a lot of adrenaline, but it's the right amount, and you don't notice it. So it can be really fucking easy to forget to slow the fuck down. What you're doing on stage, if you in your head, it'll feel like you're like overly exaggeratedly slow. But once you're used to it, you realize, no, that's actual normal speed. Because right now, it's going a fucking mile a minute.
Because I have a problem with that anyway. I have to learn. I have to consciously, because I talk fast naturally. But then I'm not good enough at talking fast to get, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think faster than I speak, and then I can't, then I stumble over it. And when I try to go back, I forget what I was saying. And like, so I have to like slow down. I have to like stop and like.
Or make that part of your shtick.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but no, I have to slow down because otherwise you can't. People just don't understand me. It's like
definitely.
I want people to at least understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I bet you find there's that weird variable between like when you say you rehearse, so you're at home and you run through it and you look at the time and shit, right? And you kind of craft it. But have you noticed like when you get on stage that like suddenly there's a new thing and the time space element kind of shifts a little bit to where you feel like you're going the same pace, but all of a sudden it's all over and it's only been a minute and a half. Yeah,
that's happened a couple times for sure.
Yeah.
But more often than not, it's that I'm feeling rushed.
Bands tend to play faster on stage too, like newer bands.
Yeah, I've definitely experienced that for sure.
Yeah,
a lot of times with music it's different. For me, like music has to be like slow or fast.
Mm-hmm.
If like there's a medium speed that music hits that it's just that nothing works at to me.
Really?
You know what I mean? Like
where
it's just not
medium speed.
Medium speed. Like a I don't know. It's hard to come up with an example, but it's like
are you talking about there could be a good song, but like if you perform it kind of like.
But if it's
I think I.
There's certain. It's not all music. I mean, there's. I guess there's certain obviously music that works at
live
that speed,
music.
But
you're saying live music works well. Like if they're a quiet room where people are there to watch and observe the musician and they want to hear the lyrics, and it can be a slower, quieter thing, and there's like a other room where people want to go and fucking get down. They want to fucking like be like moving around and fucking just the band's a thing. It's like an event and people get sweaty and that works fast. But like you can't really get people off live is what you're saying. Like with kind of a
medium. Yeah, it's like that people don't know what to do.
Yeah, it's a little too heavy to be like focused and
they don't. It's not just like laying back and like listening to it, but it's not just like oh my god.
Yeah, it
just
like, get you up and get you feeling moving. Yeah,
but there's certain kinds of music, I guess.
Isn't that what they call shoegazer music? Or I don't know what that is.
Yeah, or or even just like classical music where you can just sit back and where it's kind of like
classical music. I can't imagine going and seeing it. I haven't gone and seen it yet.
I haven't either.
There's been a couple of symphonies that I've sat down and gotten really into, and that's interesting to me. But I don't know what that would feel like to go to it. Dress up and sit in a chair and watch. I mean, I guess it'd be. I mean, I'd probably have fun looking at all the instruments, but I don't know what people who don't play music would like about it. Really,
I think it. I don't know because
music vibrates in a room. I bet you there's like probably a physical feeling that you get from it.
Yeah, there's probably that. Too. Well, and I think there's a culture that comes along with classical music. You know what I mean? Where like people want to know about history, or like they went to college people. I think for the most part, they learned things, and they want to continue knowing things about history, and so that's like classical music is one of those things where it's like, oh yes, this piece you could tell people, your friends, and talk to your friends about how Mozart wrote his symphony and the blah or whatever the fuck, and his son wrote this. And
there's not really a lot of modern classical music, is there, that people think is great? Is that a thing?
I don't know. It's not.
Do you think movie scores would be what that is, like today's version of classical music? Like the composers, they compose shit for scores.
Yeah, there's that. People do it otherwise too. I mean, I know I've heard people talking about it, and like I've heard symphonies composed.
Like Frank Zappa did it, and like even his shit was just so. I mean, like most people probably wouldn't like it at all.
Yeah,
because it's so weird. I mean, if you like Zappa, or if you're interested in.
Oh yeah.
But it doesn't flow. It doesn't create a big vibe on you like Beethoven's Ninth or something.
Yeah, well, and he didn't have like however many fucking instruments in one room, probably either, did he?
Oh, he hired like the Philharmonics,
like the whole
orchestras
thing?
or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, and he
I guess he did do a bunch of that shit.
Especially in the later part of his life.
Yeah.
But it was so weird also to watch those guys in their weird tuxedos, all fucking stuffy looking, playing that weird fucking shit.
Yeah.
Saying some of those weird lyrics and stuff. Yeah.
Some of those, from 200 Motels.
Fucking dude, that movie changed my life.
I think you're the one that showed me that movie.
Yeah, I was 17 or so, man, and starting to take a lot of mushrooms, and every single thing about that movie, dude.
Yeah, that movie's trippy.
Blew my mind. I've watched it so many times, dude. Backwards and forwards. I got that soundtrack, man. Yeah.
That was a great time in his career.
Yeah, that's weird about that. That incarnation of the Mothers. That was 1970, 1971. They had, Flo and Eddie, the guys from the Turtles, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, their voices were rad. I mean, dude, that one guy with the beard, he had a great like kind of bravado or whatever sound. And the other one with the high kind of falsetto shit, and their interactions were fucking great. They sounded cool, like good, like good shit. And then something happened on one of their tours where first the fucking Fillmore burnt down. I think that song "Smoke on the Water," and while they were playing, and they narrowly escaped, and a bunch of people got hurt, and that kind of was ominous. And then they were gonna cancel the tour, but they went anyways. And then I guess something happened where some fucker got mad at Frank Zappa. He thought his girlfriend liked him more than she liked him, whatever. So he kind of, I think, gets on stage and pushes Frank Zappa, and he falls off the stage and falls off, and he like lands on his neck on a mic stand. And fucked up his neck, and he had to go to his throat and shit. He had to go to the hospital, and he was just out for a couple of years. When he came back, his voice was like a few keys deeper, a few pitches deeper, and Flo and Eddie never got asked back. They said they would have been down as fuck. They loved it, but it's weird. Like he just kind of kept evolving his taste too, growing with his music, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where I feel like, man, there could have been so much more shit with that particular.
Yeah, that
so
lineup
good.
was great. That was one of my favorite
Yeah.
things that Frank Zappa's ever done.
It's absolutely my favorite thing. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff too, but it's not like where everything about that music, every single part of it was perfect. There's not one part of it that's lame, or it's all amazing. Whereas all of his other shit, it's like it's really cool, but then there's the fucking singing that sucks. Or it's really cool, but it's
really campy. A lot of it is.
Yeah.
Like it just has a really like.
Yeah.
I know it's supposed to be like comedy music, sort of.
Something.
But whatever the fuck he's doing, he's trying to be funny sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think he does a little too much of that sometimes.
I had a roommate named Richard who was a funny guy, and he says to me once, he goes, Frank Zappa was a musical genius and a lyrical buffoon. He probably had a point, I think.
Yeah, some of it's good, but I mean, and I definitely don't like it when music takes itself too seriously, but like...
Yeah.
But I mean, there's two.
Yeah. I mean, like he could create moods with the music and shit, but yeah, he'd kill him with the lyrics a lot. Like he wouldn't let it there just be. Some of his most moving shit is the instrumental shit.
Yeah, no, and his solos. That's what, for me, like musically.
Oh fuck.
Like that's what influences me about him the most. Is his solo. He's not necessarily technically the best guitar player of all the great guitar players.
He's pretty fucking good.
Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah,
he's really good. But he's way better than I'll ever be. But like. But just the choices that he makes, you know what I mean? Just like he plays licks that nobody else does or had did, up until that point. It's just
because he writes symphonies, so he sits there and he writes dots on paper all day with a cup of coffee, and he can he can conceive of a whole symphony in his head and write all the parts to it just as fast as he can write. And like so a guy like that who has dexterity and knows the map on the fretboard and shit could probably be mimicking in his head like a lot of different elements and instruments. It comes out and we hear a guitar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's something for that. Steve Vai said that I think that solo on Muffin Man, I don't know if he said that it was the thing that made him want to learn guitar or something like that, something along those lines.
Yeah. Steve Vai played a lot with Zappa, didn't he?
Yeah. I think that was probably his first big gig, or maybe that and then, Whitesnake or some shit? I think it was Whitesnake, I'm not sure.
I'm not.
Dude, isn't it weird that Frank Zappa's kid went and took however many years to sit there and fucking focus and learn exactly all that guitar, and then goes on tour with it with the old band?
That is crazy.
It's like part of it, you're kind of like want to roll your eyes and be like, oh, fucking, you know, like when the kid tries to live the legacy. The other part of it's kind of almost like, wow, that's actually pretty cool though, in a way, like pretty intensely interesting.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think they had a good relationship too, or whatever, you know what I mean? Like,
but that's some pretty specific guitar though. I mean, that's like a whole person's absolute style.
Yeah.
It's like
it's better him does it than some like assholes that are just.
I don't see anyone else ever doing it anyways, but I just think there's something really cool
other
about
bands do that, for other bands, like cover bands that plays just specifically one, like there's
cover band.
Whatever.
I've never heard of a Frank Zappa cover band. That'd be hilarious.
But I mean, at least it's the real guys with like the son.
Yeah.
And
No, I mean it's cool. It's interesting, but it's also like you gotta wonder if a guy's capable of doing that musically.
He should just make his own shit. That's kind of how I feel about it. If you ask me
Or
twice.
why? Or how could he not? Like, how could he be that active and engaged and fucking good, and not be just driven to make his own shit? It's kind of interesting. I wonder.
Yeah, I think wasn't it the kind of thing where Frank Zappa really like, I don't want to say like forced him into playing, but really like.
I heard stories from Dweezil when he was a little kid, like, Eddie Van Halen would stop by the house and he'd be like, oh, fuck, dude, Eddie Van Halen's my favorite guitar player ever. Like, I think he was pretty obsessed.
Yeah, I've seen an interview with him before, and
like as a kid, pretty obsessed with guitar and shit. I thought that's what
I mean.
That's the impression I was.
I don't, but it would just seem to me that growing up in a house, growing up, fucking Frank Zappa's son, you would.
Well, Moon unit, Moon and Ahmet, they don't really play instruments. I don't think Ahmet
does, yeah.
Does he?
He's done music with Dweezil.
I've seen him sing.
Yeah, maybe that was it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I've seen him credited on music before. I guess.
He writes children's books now and shit?
I have no idea.
Something like that. I think he writes children's books.
That's a weird thing to go to from playing some like wacky. But I guess it's not so strange.
He might have played drums or so. I don't think he really played instruments. But yeah, I guess Zappa kid, man. What are you gonna do?
Yeah. Why am I blanking on the name? Because it's like the.
Take your time.
Yeah, I know. There's only the tape's running out, man. The other his friend, the other weird guy that
Captain Beefheart.
Captain Beefheart, right? And man, what a crazy guy.
Yeah, I didn't really know much about him. I was watching a documentary or something, and yeah, it's weird. Like, I guess Frank had this kind of thing about kind of being drawn to eccentric performers or to the artists in general. Like, there's that guy who did the claymation shit he really liked too.
Yeah.
And usually these people were like almost unsocializable, like fucking hard to be around.
Yeah.
But he'd find a way to facilitate them.
Did you ever watch any of Captain Beefheart's interviews on like David Letterman?
No.
Yeah, he was on David Letterman like a few times.
Was it interesting, or is he just? Oh, really?
No, it's really interesting. Like, cause it's just like because David Letterman asks really good questions. I don't know if you watch the show at all, but like when he interviews somebody, especially like when it's somebody interesting, it seems to me like he knows what to ask.
Didn't that guy die though? What year are these interviews from?
They're pretty old now. Yeah. He's dead now. But
so was he interesting? Was he intelligent?
Yeah, he is. I mean, he's obviously pretty loopy, and you could tell like by the end, like the first one he had with him was like, it was almost like he brought somebody out of like a cage, and he was just kind of like looking around, kind of almost like,
weird.
And he's very out of his element kind of thing. But then like the third one or whatever that I watched, it was like some years later or whatever, a couple of years later or something like that, and he's like more well spoken, and like he's obviously like been on tour and like you know what I mean.
Yeah. From what I vaguely understand or remember, I thought it was like something, right, like correct me if I'm wrong here, but it was like this dude was some kind of street performer, just like playing guitar or something, or doing something like that, singing maybe in like I don't know, San Francisco or something. I don't even know. And then Frank found him and liked him, and then started letting him hang around and like helped him get a band together. And Frank kind of was like, you should be, the guy who sings and blah blah blah, whatever the fuck it is. I don't know. It helped get it in the guy's head and format it and shit. And then they did that, and then at some point Beefheart was like, yeah, fuck this. I'm the leader of this band. I built this, blah, 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 kind of shit.
Yeah, he was very fascist about his music.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's...
Is his music good? I've never...
Captain
really,
Beefheart?
Yeah, I don't really know.
Safe as Milk is a solid album.
Is it?
Yeah. It's his first album, and it's really good. And I don't really know the story that well, but it is kind of a funny story like that, where like I think some of the people that are involved in that were like still don't do interviews about it because they don't want to talk about the process of making the album. Because I think basically what happened is that he took them out into like a cabin out in the woods somewhere.
Oh shit!
And it was this
shit.
Well, it was this big like weird mental thing that like thing, it was kind of some sick thing going on where he was really like pushing them hard and like being really like awful in some ways to them.
Wow.
And like
So it was a traumatic
he created like this weird thing where like some people would like try to get away. They'd even like try to run in. The rest of them would like tackle them down and drag them back. And,
Cult
like,
shit. That's awesome.
Yeah, to get this album done.
And that's the album you're talking about.
Yeah,
Safe as Milk.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to listen.
I don't really know the story that well, but you find it somewhere online and read it. It's pretty interesting. Yeah, and that is a fucking solid album. Yeah, and there's some of it. Other shit's good. After that but it gets a little grating, it's like, oh, wacky music, I get it. It all kind of runs together after a while.
Speaking of fucking great albums, dude, so have you heard any of John Frusciante's last 3 albums?
Mm-mm.
Dude. Okay, so the Empyrean from 2009. Fucking phenomenal, dude.
Oh, yeah?
Songwriting, just, everything. Guitar, songwriting, just the rooms that the drums sound like that they were in. Just everything's fucking perfect. It's beautiful. It's fucking...
How do you spell his last name?
Frusciante. Yeah.
I'll Google.
Yeah. Well, the Empyrean from 2009, right? And then that's fucking just on its own, just fucking tremendous, dude. And then the next one, like, it's called PBX Funicular Intagliozone, and it's really weird, dude. Like, it's a really, his same kind of sense of really amazing melodies, and it's cool. His singing's gotten really good, but then there's this like. It's mostly electronic. There's guitar in it, but dude, the fucking the drums, like he's got these machines he makes the drums with or something, and his interest is in like creatively exploring things that aren't really done really. So he's doing shit with really fast, skitsy sounding drum beats that at times you can't even tell go just for briefly, like you lose like this. Does this even go? It's a fucking singing or the melody or whatever, because the melodies are usually kind of slow and like pretty, but these drums get really skitsy, and there's moments on that album where it like really clicks and it's fucking kind of gets me excited because it reminds me of some kind of textural thing from the way it is to walk around and think or to exist.
Yeah.
But at times it's pretty challenging in that regard. There's only a couple of songs on there that are unlistenable, but the rest are fucking amazing. He's got his newest one that just came out that I've heard, and I gave it one listen through so far, and I didn't hear a lot of melody that got me, that drew me in yet, which is kind of what I think it takes for music to draw me in. Something with the melody to be.
You're a melody man.
I guess. I think I'd be a melody man if I wrote good melody. I'm working on it still.
Yeah, it's definitely an important aspect sometimes. Well, sometimes it's like not so important, I guess, with hip hop or whatever, but.
Yeah, well, even hip hop is good when it's got the right kind of musical sounds in it. Like, that's like Tupac's music was probably really good and there's that whole G-funk shit that was good because they're using Parliament sounds and shit. And that 90s shit that was good, that 90s hip hop with the horns and the jazz kind of sounds in it.
Oh, yeah.
That shit sounded good.
And there's always stuff like, like Outkast too.
Yeah. The musical shit in that's pretty fucking interesting.
Yeah.
The Beastie Boys had that a little bit.
But it's not as, like, the melody isn't as... It's way more rhythmic music in general.
The rhythm is the important thing in that music.
Yeah.
And which is cool. I mean, like, you take it back to like the ancients or whatever, Africa or whatever.
Yeah,
there's this real primal element to it. That's when you listen to that watered down white people music that you hear in doctors' offices, that's I think what's lacking is there's melodies, but the rhythm is bullshit. It's almost
that
bullshit.
that music's just made for that. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah,
made,
it's medium, like you were saying. It's like it's got this like steadiness to it.
Yeah.
But it's not.
you
It's,
can't feel it. I think that's what they.
It's not slow and actually have a mood, but it's not fucking excitable on any level.
Yeah.
There's no fucking there's nothing that gets a feeling going at all.
Yeah,
Fucks with me.
I think that's what's I think that what that music's for. I think they specifically make that music to make you not feel
Yeah.
anything.
I mean, oh god damn it! Can you
Just
think of an
calm people
example
down.
of someone making music to make you not feel anything that was ever good?
That was good.
Yeah, like a good version, like an artistic person doing that.
Well, I mean, you could argue that someone like Kenny G is good. You know what I mean? I don't like the music personally, but
I can't identify with it enough to be able to judge it as good or
that's
not.
what I'm saying.
Like he has to be a good player.
Yeah, because he's doing what he wants, obviously. But
He's probably adept at his instrument, right? I mean,
yeah,
give him
I
that,
mean,
so-
I would imagine. I'm not.
good on that level, yeah. And then it was popular, so it must be good on some level.
I mean, some people think it's good, so I mean, who am I to say it's not really? But
Yeah.
I mean, he's pretty universally referred to by many people as being pretty, playing
yeah.
shit music though. You know what I mean?
I think that's why people don't like the Eagles too, is because they take a lot of really good elements, right, and then they push it into this
yeah,
thing
no,
that's
it's
like really
it is the
smooth
exact
and
same
fucking
thing.
yeah.
It's like a very medium. It's like very milk toast,
I still don't think people like hate.
easily digestible.
People don't hate shit as much as that. Like when it's just all the way on its on its surface, completely 100% void of any substance. People don't hate it. They're just like, this is stupid. But the Eagles, I think, pisses people off because it's so close to something good. It's so close. It could be so easy for it to have been something good, kind of deal. It almost just gets you feeling upset.
Yeah, it's those bands that get really popular like that. That are like, they get popular because a lot of people don't care that much, about the music that they're listening to.
Yeah.
I mean, there's people that are into music that like the Eagles. I'm saying,
Back to the
I'm
punk
not-
rock thing. I think that's what punk rock kids would say. Like a lot of that shit gets popular because people don't fucking care, and it reflects in the shit you listen to. And
Yeah.
the people that make the shit you listen to don't care about you, and fuck you.
Right, there's people that listen to like Three Doors Down and Audio Slave,
Ah,
and and not to like diss those bands specifically, but
Any
like,
of that shit from that.
but
90s,
if you
yeah.
have like a set of, there's like if your CD collection consists of like, that and then
Dave Matthews Band.
Dave
dude.
Matthews Band, just like very
Yeah.
milk toast kind of. It says something about you. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
want to say that. I hate saying that because you hear people say like, what you're listening to,
Well, think about this though. There's a lot of people you might end
because I
up
listen to all kinds of shit, and it.
people you might meet in a workplace, right? That
Right.
you'll meet people who are like have that kind of record collection or CD collection, and you'll meet people who you ask them about talking about music, and they don't really know music. They don't really ever listen to it. They would never think to buy a CD.
Right, they have it on. They just buy the ones that that were on when they had like something good. happen
Or they
to them,
don't buy anything,
You know?
or they just don't really ever think to listen to music. Like
You're right, or they don't buy anything. They just have whatever's on the radio.
And
Whatever's on the radio.
I straight up can't identify with those people. So
Yeah.
it's almost like I don't think of them as like, oh, you got a fucked up way of looking at it. But people who
But
have
those
that
are the
shitty
people that go
receipt-
to. Yeah, those are the people that go to Dave Matthews concerts. You know what I mean?
if their girlfriend drags them. I mean, some people just literally don't think about music at all. That's weird.
Yeah.
Some
Well,
people
but-
though they do
but,
like music.
there's a great in between there that
Yeah, it's
that'll make a
weird.
band popular or not popular but successful. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It'll have like because the Eagles do enough things.
Yeah, it's like
they have enough
interesting-ish.
things.
Yeah, it's like got good like a lot of really good ingredients.
Right. There's a lot of things going for them,
Yeah.
but the end product just isn't like
It's almost like
It's disappointing.
They fucked it over.
from like a musician standpoint anyway. At least from,
Yeah.
from my standpoint anyway. It's like
yeah.
it's almost like it got processed through like like TV
'cause-
shows get
yeah,
because
yeah.
like TV shows are so like
Yeah.
put through like
Too many hands on it.
too
and
many
shit,
fingers in
yeah.
the pot. They're all just like
And
changing.
there's an end result agenda expected already. Like we're gonna produce
Right.
something that's like this.
Right,
then
and if
they
there's
make
something
that.
happens that I don't know if we want to do that because it
Yeah.
it might offend this kind of people.
Or like,
you know?
oh, that was too real.
and when it comes
That-
out being like
yeah.
very homogenized and
Yeah.
like just
Reel it in a little, guys.
Right.
Yeah. The kind of band that would yell at their singer or drummer because he's so fucking good that when they're playing live, like he improvises a little bit. He keeps it moving a little bit with the same songs all the time. And like Journey, I think kicked Ainsley Dunbar, who was in the Mothers during fucking 200 Motels, out of their band. He was the original drummer for Journey.
oh right,
They kicked him out of the fucking band because he was just too good. Like he was like down to like let the songs live and breathe and shit a little bit as they toured. They got some guy who was down to just play just like on the record, and I think that's the kind of thing that
Yeah.
I hear, and it bums me out because, like, you know, like even Dave Matthews Band, where it's got like cool arrangements, you know, with like a fiddle player, or, you know, whatever, all that different kind of shit that they have going for it, and a guy that writes songs and it's cool rhythm, or interesting, I guess, an interesting enough approach to rhythm that it could be good.
Yeah. Oh, it's yeah. The problem with that, for me at least, is just the whole like. It seems very he doesn't play reggae, but when white people play reggae, you can tell it is white
Yeah.
people playing the reggae. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And it's just there's a quality like that to it where it's just kind of like, and you know when you listen, and even when you listen to like interviews with Dave Matthews, it doesn't come off that he would be like that either. To me, it's just like.
How do you mean? Does he sound like he's a cool dude or something?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, he's a drunk at least. You know what I
Oh.
mean? Like he's got
I'm
got all
sure-
these.
Yeah, I'm sure if he's doing it right, he's probably a kind of happy guy. But yeah, I guess the
Yeah, but what I'm saying, what I mean by that is he's got like stories, interesting stories to tell as a person. You know, it's
Yeah.
like, so he's got like all this story about how he got faded and did all this, and like,
so he starts playing music, right? He must develop a bit of a style that he can recognize as it develops and go, oh, this sounds like my style.
Right.
And then he begins to play into that style, and then by the time he gets it moving along with a band and shit, he probably feels like, well, now he owes it to the movement that he's making with these people and with this project.
yeah, or he
to
probably
write
just
from
like
that angle.
he probably genuinely likes it. You know, I mean, if you
There's that. There are people that really fucking love that band. I mean,
Yeah.
love that band.
yeah,
It's their vibe. Yeah, that's another thing. We all kind of, I guess there's a way to measure our frequency. Like, so we, you know, emit some kind of a low grade, what do you call it, electromagnetic frequency, and they're typically just slightly variant.
oh right,
You know, and there's people whose frequencies harmonize kind of, or they're very similar, whatever. There's other ones with dissonant effect, and just being sometimes, you heard that thing where you first meet someone within the first
oh yeah,
few
they
exchanges,
just
you
grate
realize,
on you right
yeah,
away.
you just realize
Yeah.
like, oh, I don't like being around this person at all.
Yeah.
They don't get me. I just don't like this. And yeah, so maybe that's what I'm like with Dave Matthews music, and other people are closer to that vibe. So I shouldn't judge it, but
Yeah, well, it's just yeah, right, to each their own. But at the same time, like
unless they're just
there's
being assholes,
and it's not just Dave
Writing
Matthews.
shitty
It's
crap.
not even just to pick on Dave Matthews Band. It's
no, we're using them as an example.
example of like you
Yeah.
know like there's a kind of right you know they would have him in the catalog and you know greatest hits, a lot of greatest hits albums.
Oh yeah,
of,
yeah,
like,
exactly. Yeah, fucking
you
good
know,
point. Good
and,
point. Matchbox 20. Good, yeah, good point with
Yeah.
the greatest hits albums.
and you know it's just they don't really care about their music they listen to. They have things that they were listening to at certain points in their life that makes
Yeah,
them
you know
remember
what?
things that they want to remember, and so they have.
I bet that a
Or-
lot of those people's, either with their career or with their family life, that they're doing something that's actually important to the world in a way.
Yeah, they're
You know,
focused on
they're
those things for
involved
sure.
in the world in a way that actually has something going on with it, like it matters in a way.
Yeah, like they're in the Peace Corps. Or
Whereas
something.
me as a musician, no, or just they have a career where, like, you know, they might work in a doctor's office, or they might
Right.
or they might be raising a kid well, which is
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
rare nowadays, right? Or something like that. And so fuck it, like, don't distract yourself with music. Just listen to your greatest hits album. You know, that's good for them. I can't sit there and judge them because I you know, myself as a musician, I'm not really helping.
Right.
much.
Yeah. The point is that I think that just makes a band sometimes. You know, they don't have to be all they can be because they put a little bit into it, and
Yeah, that's weird.
that you know they just put a little bit into it, and that was enough. And
Yeah.
you know,
I think what throws me about that, though, is that, like, the thing that attracts me to music when I listen to it, and definitely when I listen to it, what makes me want to play music, and the thing that gets, like, I walk around with, like, music in my head, you know what I mean? And it's, like, always there. And when I hear something outside that really gets me, there's something about it that's been, it's really original or unique to the person. It's authentic to the person's thing they're doing. It expresses something really potently,
yeah.
you know. And then I can't imagine wanting to pursue any endeavor of music that was not doing that, I guess,
Yeah.
because that would just it would not only not be fun and be boring, but it would, like, fuck up my relationship with my guitar, or my, you know, with the music I like, or any
It
music.
would definitely have a good chance of it, I think. Yeah.
It could just start to suck. I mean, your life
If you
would be
imagine,
fun.
because I mean, you have a crappy job that you go to every day. You don't want to come home and do the crappy job too.
Yeah, I guess, but like you also don't want to like if you know you don't if you've got a relationship with someone, right? Let's say it's a thing, music or like put it in terms of a person. You don't want to spend some of your time having a really great time and treating them really nice, and then the larger majority of your time and treating them kind of shitty or boxing them in or
Yeah,
marginalizing
I think
them.
that's probably one of the
You can't have a healthy relationship at all that way. You know what I'm saying?
probably one of the problems with working with a spouse or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
especially if you're in like their boss or something,
Oh God.
and they're not.
I could see getting turned on by a female boss, like getting a little too deep, but that'd be the brutalist.
Oh yeah, I mean,
marriage
just
or
having that
Uh,
having that spillover.
ugh. Yeah, fuck.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Not good.
yeah.
But
That's funny. Didn't you have a letter?
well, yeah, we received a letter. I made an email address, and we actually received
What is the email address? If somebody, like, if I wanted to write.
verbalsex@bloodbidet.net. That is
How do you spell bidet?
BIDET. That is verbalsex@BLOODBIDET.net.
Wow.
Bloodbidet.net.
So people can send you stuff like what, tell you all the reasons why the shit you said was wrong, and like
Yeah,
go
they
on
can
for
either-
paragraphs and paragraphs.
I said, well, because what I wanted to do is, just be able to interact with listeners. And
You want them to write in and correct the things that you've said, right?
Either
That's
write
what
in-
you're going for. You
Yes,
like them
I
to
want them-
correct you
correct me
Yeah.
on everything that I say. That's exactly what
and
I want.
also kind of berate you
Yeah.
for the mistakes.
They're welcome to do that. They're, 'cause I kind of want to, do a good a question thing, like you want to answer questions, but I feel kind of shitty asking.
Take advice. Just straight up
asking
say,
me
no.
questions, You know what I mean?
This is an advice podcast, and I know that we haven't really settled into it today because we do have a stack of fucking letters here. But this dude's selective. I mean, if you're gonna write a letter to him and you want him to read it on the air, it's got to be good. It's got to be interesting. He can't be fucking around.
Right.
So he's really selective. So
Standards
he's
here at
selected
Purple Sex.
one today. So sorry to all of you out there who wrote in whose shit isn't being read on the air today. But you're just gonna have to, kind of get your shit together. And
Yeah, it goes. This particular letter goes to. We'll pull it up here first, and goes on a little bit of a question that I had been talking about, or something I've been talking about over the past couple podcasts. Nutrition. I've been way into nutrition lately, really watching what I eat and stuff, and this person had a decent question.
well, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah. I wasn't quite prepared
Yeah. Sorry
for
about
it.
that.
Hang on a second.
Wait. So did you get access to your letter?
Yeah, so we'll go. Actually, you know what? We'll get to the letter later.
Episode 2, I was saying I took a leak and came back, and I suppose it didn't sound like anything. But we're talking about episode 2. I was saying that Jesus, man, when I put that on, I was walking home from work as usual. I listen to podcasts all night. Like this is how I work, and fucking
Yeah.
run a restaurant, and I'm, I've got a lowly job there because I'm trying to focus on other things in my life. So I'm washing dishes, and I'm listening to podcasts all night. And anyways, I run out of ones, and I remembered yours, so I went in. What the fuck was that?
I think that was my phone. I should turn it off.
I went in. I put on yours, and I started to walk home. And yeah, episode 2, man. Like you're talking straight up about that feeling of like almost talking yourself out of doing the thing that you want to do, the thing that your drive, your creative ambition,
for no good reason.
And yeah, and like you're kind of like speaking my language. I'm kind of like, yeah, well, I can relate to that feeling. But then you start like doing that thing where you're tucking yourself back into it, and you're telling that thing to fuck off, and you personified it and all that shit. And then you went off a long time about that dynamic, and man, I was so fucking up. By the time I got back to the place, I'm like so like holy shit. So the first words out of my mouth to the person I live with is, my friend Andrew has a podcast, and you gotta fucking hear this. You need to listen to this straight up, like, cause we work together creatively. She sings and stuff, and she doesn't have as much experience being on stage and any really experience working with another person yet. So I'm always kind of helping her along with that, discovering new angles on that. So yeah, that first half of your podcast for sure. I was like, you gotta listen to this. You got to see like other people go through the same shit. This is what it's like. This is what it feels like to push through something. And you can't always go with your fucking first impulse on everything. glom onto it. You got to have a little bit of will and create a little momentum. And
Yeah, you have to be able to say something. That's good. That is a good point. You can't just glom onto the first thing.
yeah, just, you can't just go with every mood that crosses you. You got, I mean, if you got a plan and you've got something going on,
Yeah,
you're moving
a
along.
lot of people do have a problem with not being able to realize that every mood that happens or every feeling they have doesn't mean anything.
Well, sensitive people like us who are creative and artistic, yeah, it's difficult because, you know, that's what makes us that way with the sensitivity. But it's like, but yeah, I mean, if you, I guess maybe some people have an innate sense of that purpose or whatever. But I guess most of us that I've grown up with or know at my age have grown up with circumstances less than ideal, parent wise. You know, as far as like a lot of them are abused or neglected, and or just not, you know, not given a lot of opportunity. So as adults, very difficult to balance the creative with the practical, right? On either level, and both kind of suffer for it.
Yeah.
And ultimately, in creative endeavors that are collaborations, man, it's you know, it's important that kind of for it to work that everybody be that everyone agrees with the point of the motive of what everyone's doing. Everyone kind of knows their role, and everyone wants to push it the best they can do it for the sake of the thing, right?
Right.
But the important thing, I think, especially for the most creative people or whatever, for anyone that's really putting their thing out in it, is that they can trust the other person has that same idea and is dedicated to it, at least to the point of being honest about it with each other and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Or at least be able to be willing to. There's sort of like a give and take kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's like we were talking about before the podcast. You know, we can't. Putting one of the reasons putting a band is so hard. Putting a band together is so hard. Is that the ego that like one person can have? You know, it just becomes like
Yeah, it's the writing thing because you know writing's weird. That's what that dynamic of the Beatles is so interesting with Paul and John, who are both prolific and really good songwriters, right? And both distinctly different, but that were such in harmony with each other. And the infamous stories, and Jagger and Richards as well, the infamous stories about these guys writing and their personal, like how fucked up it sounded for them to be around each other and all those feelings, but how amazing the work was and incredible. Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic, but most collaborations don't always work where there's two driving forces like that. It's usually like there'll be, you know, either,
like one main one, and then
at least in areas like you might have like a
Right.
rhythm section who's got its own kind of like a, you know, in bigger projects, or somebody who kind of like leads this area, the person leads this area. There might be like, it might break down like a chain of command kind of thing as far as that goes, but or not I don't want to say chain of command because that makes it more of like a yeah,
and then but
not that structure.
certain bands are like true collaborations.
Similar.
I mean, I've played with people that were like, or played with bands that were true sort of collaborations.
A room full
and it
of
was
really
like,
creative people who all bring lots of ideas to the table, and
Right.
everyone's cool about each other's ideas and honest with each
yeah,
other.
and that's the best way to do it and the hardest way to do it.
You think it's the best way? Well,
Yeah.
can you give me examples of shit
I think it's
that
the most satisfying. Personally, it's the most
Okay,
satisfying way to
all
do
right.
it. You know.
Well, can you think of bands that did that you find their music really personally it gets to you, you really like it,
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know. It's
hard to know, I guess.
It's hard to know
Yeah,
like
unless
what
you-
bands are like.
Dude, I constantly like read like rock star musician biographies and autobiographies, and a lot of them are written just shitty as hell. You know, there's like
Right.
some third person shitty failed reporter, you know, or whatever, journalist. But sometimes they're really good. I read
Yeah.
the Levon Helms, and he wrote that himself, and that was phenomenal. He was actually a really good writer and a good storyteller. But yeah, these stories, yeah, it's you start to look. When I listen to bands, I always felt like the bands I was really drawn to, they were just inherently. I felt like I would love to hang out with these guys. I could totally get along with them. Like, yeah, I could hang out. These seem like they seem like me. They seem like me and my friends. Like, definitely, I get them. Like, or they seem interesting, and fun to be around.
Yeah.
And then bands that like I didn't, I was on the fence about. The more I got to know them, what they seemed like they were like, the more I realized I wouldn't want to hang out with them. The less not like one affected the other, but they both together. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
how much their music is fun and good to listen to, and how much they're kind of people you could get along with.
Creatively, it's some of the more like affected people tend to be some of the best You know what I mean?
You mean
creative-
like affected as in like affectation, or affected like they're affected by something?
Yeah, well, you know, they've got problems, like
Yeah,
severe
yeah.
emotional problems,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
and
yeah.
they're
People have been through shit, basically.
right. They've got, you know, the best sort of like well of creativity to be able to draw from, and then
Yeah.
but then it's just becomes
Is it because those emotionally trying situations like batter your defenses to the point where there's this whole part of you, like most of you has to hide behind that defense, where normally, I don't know, maybe your personality is distributed in a way that
it
it's
is
kind
for
of
probably a whole bunch of reasons.
having
I
to
mean,
put up all those defenses would allow the main you to exist in a world that's kind of outside of the tangible world, more in like the unconscious kind of area, the where the creativity springs from, the dream world a little bit.
yeah,
Because yeah,
a lot
traumatic
of-
experiences can crush your outside world so much,
right.
and limit it to the point where it's like, oh, they say like when a person loses their sight, they can hear and smell better, kind of deal.
Yeah, they started
Yeah.
paying attention to it more.
Yeah, that's an interesting theory. It's not my theory, I guess. I don't know. It's
Yeah,
hard to
I don't know, but yeah, the what were we talking about with the music?
You're saying, well, we're talking about creativity.
Or
and, like,
creativity,
give and
right.
take
Oh, yeah,
of,
being-
of collaborations and like the most affected people. You said affected, like the
Right,
people
right.
who've been
People
through
who,
shit.
right. And,
So you think that they're probably harder to get along with? Is that what you're
yeah,
thinking?
they definitely are for sure.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they don't have the social skills necessarily. You know,
Yeah.
and that's what it takes to be able to get along like on that intimate of a level with
what's-
that kind of a group
Yeah.
of people.
So what's that thing where some of the best ones seem like they must have been the worst, and
They either just-
and
I think
the other
my-
people stuck with it to the point where it worked.
Yeah, that's my theory is either people just powered through
A
it.
bunch of people with lots of stamina.
You have
and
stories
patience.
like Fleetwood Mac. You know what I mean when they were recording Rumors.
Crazy, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like it's all the stories about just like
Well,
that whole album is just an expression of them like arguing with each other and
Yeah.
like, going behind each other's back and like all that kind of shit. And it's just
So weird, but none of them
all the
ever stopped to
drama.
question like the thing they're doing because it was their vehicle to what they personally wanted, I guess. So they were all just like, oh yeah, of course we're doing this still.
yeah.
That's not the issue. The issue is that it's like blah blah blah. They're
Well, I think
romancing.
I heard somewhere in an interview with like I think it was Mick Fleetwood saying that they would when they recorded that album they recorded it in a way because a lot of the lyrics they timed it, they like left a lot of it for the end so that like Stevie wouldn't be around because if they weren't
if she heard him,
if she
she
heard
would get
him, it-
upset and that would fuck up their ability to work.
right. So there was a lot of that kind of shit going on
What
too.
the
You know,
fuck? Oh wait, lyrics she was supposed to sing?
no, not that she was supposed to sing.
Oh, but just lyrics that were on
It would piss her off, right?
like songs. Okay, wow.
Yeah.
Upset her basically to the point where working would be.
Right. So they had to resort to measures like that just to be able to put the album together.
Dude, see, that's the kind of shit that see. Look, there's this thing about certain people that I see, like this guy I was talking about, this local dude. I didn't really describe it too well because I don't want to say anything bad. I don't think badly of him. But anyways, there's this thing about the tenacity and the drive and the ambition to get yourself in that position where it's working and you've got people working for you and there's a whatever you kind of like, I don't know, carve your way into people's minds and shit.
Right.
And like with like cunning and like stalking your prey, like predatory kind of almost way, but also to be sensitive enough to feel those feelings and to find a way to express them that's not only vulnerable but powerful and like confident, vulnerable and confident, right? And just the perfect mix. And fucking
Fuckable.
yeah. That doesn't hurt. That definitely doesn't hurt.
That's what. Well, yeah.
I mean, I think nowadays more and more, right?
I think that's what. I just think that's what. You know
But what the fuck though? How do you have both of those things where you can be a cunning, predatory, almost individual like that, like a near sociopath, and then have that kind of sensitivity and ability to like fucking feel and express it and shit, and be vulnerable right in front of a bunch of fucking people? Like, how the fuck does that all mix up? Because I feel like I have a lot of that fucking sensitivity, and I'm
Yeah,
working on
definitely.
the rest of it as far as the ability to translate it, right? But like in the meantime, that cunning thing and that predatory shit, like I'm baffled. I'm
Yeah.
fucking baffled about that, about the like getting myself. Yeah, I just can't imagine. It seems
You'd
like
be
it would
like
ruin everything.
having a brand or whatever.
I just feel like I could not be like that and have it exist in the same world that I
Yeah,
feel creative.
I think
in.
you have to become like
creatively, I have to push anything even remotely close in the same family as that shit out of my field of vision and out of my kind of life, just to even exist in a space that I can really feel creative and lose myself in the creativity.
I see the importance in it for sure. There are things I'm not comfortable with, like
Or you
saying
s-
my name a lot,
Well,
that
yeah.
kind of thing, like
Dude.
in a band being able to be like,
I'm not arguing-
we're blah 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 blah.
I'm not
da, da,
arguing
da.
its importance. I think
Next
that-
week we're gonna be at the blah blah, and all that.
Yeah. No, I think
yeah.
it's legit. It's very important. It's a legit thing for a band to
But
work.
for me, what gets me to appreciate being able to do stuff like that is to be able to see other artists that I appreciate or that I respect
Yeah,
doing that,
yeah.
and like being okay with doing that. Like there's like
Oh yeah.
like a lot of like comedians that I like that have podcasts, and they do that shit. They'll just be like
That's-
spit out the fucking ads. You know what I mean?
Oh,
that they're
yeah.
doing. You know what I mean?
Like plugs shit.
Yeah, they plug shit and then they their own stuff. And
That's
it,
Jeremy Fresh at Twitter. Twitter. What was it? At
right?
Jeremy Fresh,
And doing that to me now.
Jerimy Fresh. That's all one word.
Yeah, exactly. That's hearing them doing it, and having kind of fun with it. You know what I mean? It becomes like a thing where it's like, okay, now that I
It's
want to
like a
be,
branding.
I want to be one of those guys that does that.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
Where's your fucking 5x8 index cards?
Well, I ain't there yet. I mean,
Dude.
I don't have it. As soon as I've
yellow
got,
pad right here.
I'm waiting for a body of work to,
Oh, till you have shit you want to plug.
yeah. That's
Well,
I
you can plug your guest shit.
I plug it. And
you
when I
can
plug
think
open
about-
mic because I want people to come and show up at open mic because
Yeah,
it's a fun
no,
night.
definitely people should come to that. I think that.
But I don't want them to come see me necessarily.
No, I get what you're saying though, because you want the feel of a room who's there to see something. Because when you're performing in front of a bunch of performers, like you would at an open mic, where the most people that show up are performers, other performers, you have an interesting crowd of people because most of them, only the patient ones, are the ones who have a different kind of thing than probably most people there do. Are going to be the ones who sit through the whole show and watch every performer and talk to the ones they like and encourage the ones that they feel are close to something. That's very rare. The rest are not interested in anything but what they're going to do. It's weird.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of that there. It seems like to me. I mean, I
can't
don't
help
know
it,
a lot
really.
of the guys there. Any really,
I'm talking about music
that
open
well.
mics, but I can only assume it's the same in the comedy world.
Yeah, well, I mean, and at least most of the open mics that I've done, there have been a good amount of people that aren't performers
Is it
there.
people that performers brought with them?
Some of them, and some of them just come in because it's a night. It's free,
yeah. I had a
It's-
friend that would go to those things a lot. A guy that lived in my building.
There's some funny stuff there. I mean, I can see why people would want to go, see it for a minute. But
But it's good. People should go see open mics.
no,
comedy opens,
it's fun. Yeah, no,
it's exciting. I'm sure it's really
And
interesting.
I don't want people to just, I want to. I need practice in front of a crowd. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And that's exactly what I need.
Yeah, the
And
better-
but I'm not saying, look at me.
what he's saying,
I'm going to be
people-
here this night.
What he's saying is that it's not that
But,
he'll be
but
better.
the point is that I
the
want
whole
to.
thing's better.
I want to be able to get to a point where I am that guy. You know what I mean? So where I am like one of those guys that can be like, I'm going to be here at this night, and then I'm going to be in Texas on April 25th. And
Sounds like the only thing standing between you and that is like having things booked,
and having
material to
do
book.
it that I feel is
yeah.
good enough.
That's
I mean,
it's what I feel.
That's going to
too.
take a while. I'm nowhere near that, and I'm just.
So let me ask you this: if somebody was having a private get together, with a good number of people there, and it's going to be a month or two out, and they said, okay, listen, I don't know how much of big of a set you have or whatever, but I'm going to have some comedy going on, and just because I like you personally, I want you to come and just tell me how much material you have, like how long is your set, right? And you're booked for that set, and we'll pay you like some ridiculously, really cushy amount of money. So I'm like, oh, I could use that amount of money, right? Like reasonable, but like big, right? And so how much material would you have if you said yes right now and it was 2 months out? How much, what kind of a set would we be talking about?
I could maybe stretch it out to like 20 minutes.
I mean, could you count on your ability to write some shit in the meantime? And how many open mics, would you calculate how many open mics you can do between now and then? And how much you could probably write a week? And could you figure out maybe like how much?
If I really,
get
I
in the
mean, I
next
can.
2 months.
I don't know. No, I mean,
It's hard to do, huh? It's hard to know.
Yeah, I mean, I've only been doing it for 4 months or something like that, 5 months, maybe.
Well,
and it's like,
where did the bulk of your material come from? The before you started, like right when you were starting, or have you been consistently building it?
I know I write all the time.
Awesome.
I write new stuff all the time,
Cool.
and I I've only got a couple things that I really feel like are actual bits. I know one that's worked, and it's got like multiple. Yeah, I mean it's a bit, and that I could add to or take away from, and I've got one thing, maybe two.
I got a question. This is interesting to me.
It's.
I have an interesting question. For me, it's interesting. So when you're first writing the thing down, that's like A is probably your first draft of it, and B, you're only writing it so that you don't forget it. Because obviously, like you can see it in your head, but you need to write it down. So from that moment to the point where you take it on stage, and it does as good as it does at this level, what goes on between the time it's written? What do you put? What processes do you apply to it?
So I've changed my process a couple times over the course of doing it, but what I'm doing now essentially is I have two notebooks and the computer. I've got the one notebook like these, the little ones that just have notes.
Fits in your back pocket.
I think of something and I just make a short note that reminds me of that thing that I thought of that I want to remember, and I can just go through these and just have different ideas to draw from, and then when I get one that deserves, being designated like a.
I'm gonna sit down with this type of a thing, right? I'm gonna sit down.
Right, you've got an idea that's worthy of being designated a premise, and then I'll take it to another one and do a little bit more of a long form kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where I'll have write out different points that I want to get to.
Yeah, and you start tagging it.
Right, and then and go through the notebook again, find other ideas that might fit with it or that it could flow into, things like that.
Yeah.
And then eventually just kind of write out more or less what I want to say, type it out. So
do you start to hear when you're thinking of it, when you're writing it, like you're thinking of it, you're imagining basically being on stage talking, and what that feels like. Are you incorporating all that in your head?
I do that when I rehearse. And then after I type it out, I'll type out not exactly what I want to say.
So you start typing out the idea that you think's funny, and and then you got to read through it, right? And then you got to kind of
and then put ideas in order that I want to get to, find the funny bits that I think are going to be funny, and then get to those quicker. Do
you ever walk up to friends and be like, "Hey, listen, tell me if this is funny"?
No, I only do that on stage.
Why don't you do that with your friends?
I don't really care. I mean, not that I don't care. I mean, I care if they think it's funny, because I care if people think it's funny.
I just mean just to get you to where you
that you're
telling.
I just don't feel comfortable doing it in that kind of.
It would be more to get yourself to where you're trying to see if you're telling it funny.
I'm way more comfortable doing that on stage for some reason.
Yeah, I get
in front
that.
of just one person.
Yeah.
Especially someone that I know.
Playing guitar and singing in a room with one or two people is it's very intense.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I'm fine doing it by myself. I rehearse down here, right here in this room. I just pace around and say it, and
Do you film yourself doing it ever?
I film myself doing it on stage.
Oh, cool, yeah. I film myself on stage every time too. I go twice a week, and twice a week, every week if everything's not getting in my fucking way, but I mean, mostly twice a week, more if I can find some. But I film every one. It feels weird because I feel like being in a room where people could see me doing that. It kind of throws me off. I don't want to give an impression that I'm fucking filming myself, taking selfies or some shit. You know what I mean? But it's I want to watch the game footage and shit and go over plays. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm trying to work out I didn't know I did that with my neck when I that's kind of that looks silly. I didn't know I looked I want to try to rein that in a little bit. I didn't know that I sounded just like that when I
And I've noticed doing comedy especially I always hated I guess I hated it too. At first watching comedy, watching the video afterwards, I always hated it doing music. Because it's always
afterwards,
it's always
was it?
Man.
You're talking night of though, watching it night of. Just that I've noticed this. I've watched it night of, and I'm oh god, oh fuck, and then I just put it away, and I'm I don't ever want to see it again.
And then you watch it again.
A few weeks later, I'll be oh, what's this?
Yeah.
Wait, let me see this, and I watched it. I'm wait, what? This is actually kind of okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's all the shit that you did wrong is still fresh in your mind. And
You it's sometimes night of though when I'm totally.
It doesn't sound exactly like you just heard it in your head or you just heard it, because it's all tinny and or whatever.
Yeah. And sometimes right after I get off stage, right, I'm just I want to fucking die. That was the worst fucking thing. I completely blew it. That sucked. Everyone hated it. This fucking garbage. I look like an idiot. Ugh.
Yeah.
And then later I'll watch it just to make sure, and I'll be okay, wait, no, that part wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. Right at that night. But I'll never be like, oh yeah, this is fucking good. Oh yeah, look at me. I can't imagine that.
Yeah, no.
But,
Yeah, I've yet to feel that when I watch a video of myself.
yeah.
Ever.
Dude, I know if I could only get close to what I can do in a room alone, like in front of
Yeah.
anyone ever, like, or I think I'm doing it in a room alone. It feels like I'm doing it.
You know, I did one time at open mic. I think I did okay. Like, it was the best that I've done. It wasn't good. I stumbled through a few parts of it with my words and stuff still, but I got to all the stuff that I meant to get to, and
How did it connect?
came out. I got a medium laugh. That was the best I've done so far.
Good.
And it was like, it got a medium laugh. There were parts of it that were funnier than others.
Yeah. Did you get to, wait, did you say that was the last time you tried that material? Or that new thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
You haven't had a chance to do it since?
No, I haven't. That was the last. No, I've done one other since then, but I did.
Did you do that same material?
No.
Huh.
No, I got to go back. I'm going to come back to it. I didn't want to do it 2 weeks in a row.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's big. You can't do the fucking same material. Oh, jokes. That's the other thing different than music.
Yeah.
Is everyone wants to hear you fucking do your hits all the time if you're a musician. But if you're a comedian,
They want to
they
hear you do
need
new
new
stuff.
shit right now. Like, what, you told the same
Yeah.
shit twice. I've already heard this one. This is bullshit. It's not funny anymore.
Yeah, comedians, all the comedians now, I guess, just do a new set every year and a half.
Well, that's the thing to
It's
aspire
fucking-
to. I think a lot of comics probably would say that sounds
Because that's what
incredibly hard.
George Carlin did. He did
That's
a
what Louis
new.
C.K. does.
Yeah, and
That's
then
what Doug Stanhope
then Louis
does.
C.K. started talking about
Bill
how he
Burr
did it.
does that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the good ones do that.
And so now I think that spread.
Ari Shaffir does it a year or two.
Yeah, Ari Shaffir is awesome.
Those guys all do that shit now. Like, the good ones that I think seem like they're cool and, you know, that are.
Yeah, and that's
Comics can be cheesy, dude. Like if they're,
yeah, they can be really
it can
cheesy.
be fucking harsh.
There's definitely like a. It's the same equivalent like we were talking about earlier with music, where the equivalent of like they're
That
playing to a
milquetoast shit. Yeah.
milquetoast shit, playing to like a specific or playing to a
Yeah.
genre, like there's definitely it has that element to it for sure, but to me it seems like more raw than music ever really gets. What are you looking at?
I was looking at the time.
Oh, it's 7:03.
Yeah, man. Well,
You got enough heart out here? You need to.
I don't know. I don't know. Hers maybe. I don't know. Let's hear your letter.
All right, yeah, I got the letter up here for sure. Now,
Now this is. Let me get this straight. Like it's out of all the ones that you had to
out
pour
of the
through.
mountain of emails
What would
that I
you
received.
say was different about this one than the other ones? Do you want to give away the secret of the people? People will know.
The reason I chose this one was because it was something that I was talking about, or something that I've been interested in recently.
So I asked you about something you're passionate about.
Yes,
Good.
Yes,
All
and
right.
so, and it's definitely something that a lot of people need to know, and it's not. Not that I feel good about giving advice necessarily, but here, we'll go to the letter here and we'll let it speak for itself. How about that?
That sounds good.
It says, what's the best / easiest way for a fast food junkie, lazy, fat person to lose weight and get better nutrition? The whole prospect is intimidating, and are there baby steps that I can take? Is there anything as easy as the junk that I eat now? Signed, Anonymous.
All right, Kevin. Kevin wrote that.
Yeah, Jimmy, Kevin, and signed, Anonymous. So, well, let's break it down a little bit. And I can say this because I am a trained nutritionist.
Yeah, of course.
Psych. So, what's the best, easiest way? Well, I feel cheesy saying it, but I think the best and easiest are definitely opposites. I mean,
The best and the easiest are opposites.
yeah, as far as getting healthy,
But isn't there, like, out of all the best things, there's got to be some that are more accessible to someone who hasn't studied
yes,
it?
no, that I'm getting to that. But I want to say that like the best way to get healthy is to like actually eat healthy, which is not an easy thing to do for anybody to do, because the amount of vegetables that you would have to eat, just to get the amount of vegetables that you need every day. You know what I mean?
Fuckload.
Fresh
That's a lot of
vegetables.
chewing. That's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. It's a
Yeah.
lot of preparing. It's a lot of time out of your day.
Yeah, it's more than fucking just ordering food.
And it's not that varied. I mean, you can season it differently, but you're in the end you're just eating a bunch of green shit that tastes.
Now that you mention it,
Very
this
similar.
guy's got the same question I've had this whole time.
Yeah.
How the fuck do you eat healthy
So-
in this world?
So, but yeah, I do want to say that like it's best to just start eating fucking healthy, you know, and you know what that is. Everyone knows what that is. You don't eat the
Yeah, you got to start by cutting out the shit that's obviously shitty.
right.
Yeah.
The
That's
cheeseburgers.
good first move, right?
Like McDonald's is bad.
Fucking soda pop, sugary bullshit. Corn syrup is
Yeah, you
fucked,
don't.
probably.
A good one to stop doing is stop having drinks with sugar in it.
Yeah.
Like any kind of
that.
soda pop, you know, just drink water. That's what your body needs. I mean, if you really need something with sugar in it, you drink juice.
Yeah. I mean,
know.
there's even these good carbonated ones, right?
Yeah.
Sugar.
So I mean that said, I mean, I was that lazy fat person. You know, I've been a lot fatter, and it seemed pretty easy to me. What I did to start out with, at least, was juice. I made juice. I got a juicer, and that is easy if you have the equipment. That's the stipulation.
It's just like a blender you get at Goodwill, right?
Right. Well, no, it's not just a
See,
blender.
shit.
It's not just a blender. I mean, because you can do that. You can blend that shit. That's not easy because that's not easy to drink.
It's thick.
It's
Yeah.
super. You're drinking like a vegetable slushy,
Yeah.
which is not tasty. Or, I mean, it's a lot better for you if you really wanted to try that. But
It's not as easy to swallow as regular liquid.
right, the idea with the juice is that it's easy to drink and it's easy to put together if you have the right equipment. The right equipment is basically like a few things you want to look at in like getting a juicer. Is that you want the actual hole that you shove the vegetables in at the top to be big enough to handle like an apple hole.
A whole apple? What about the seeds? You don't want to
Yeah.
eat all that arsenic.
Oh, it doesn't come. You don't juice the seeds; it'll just come out into the pulp.
Oh, it knows? How does it know?
Well, it just like when it spins it around, it just kind of shoots out. There's not enough in the arsenic in apple seeds to really hurt you anyway. But but yeah, so that's the key to making it easy is the thing.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if you get like just an $80 juicer, like from Home Depot or something like that, you'll end up with one that you have to chop up all the vegetables and fruit and stuff into small pieces before you put it in there. That's a lot of work.
Well, hey, man, like if you want to get somewhere in your life, you're going to have to apply yourself. You can't just fuck around and have everything handed to you.
I could not agree more. But the fact is that when someone is eating shitty, what they're doing is they're probably. I mean, I don't know what this person does, but
They probably just don't devote
I'm
time or
guessing they go to
thought.
the drive-through a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the ultimate expression of it.
And the
being-
microwave.
of like eating being easy. You just get in your car, you sit there. Someone brings food to your window, and you bring it back, and then you go sit and
Yeah,
you eat it, and it's
really salty.
crap.
It's salt, fat, and sugar. They say nature doesn't have anything that contains those three things in it. And that's why when someone does eat something that has those three things in it, their body flips out and they crave it. It's
Yeah,
fucking bad for you.
it definitely well. What happens is your body gets starts when you start giving it a certain kind of a diet on a regular basis. It starts releasing enzymes and creating an environment in your gut that's the
Feeds
best it
on
can do. Yeah, that's the best it can do to deal with what you're giving it.
Yeah.
And it does that actually kind of quick. It'll only take like 4 or 5 days for that kind of shit to happen. But like when you're eating, and that's why I say juicing is good and something easy, you know, that you don't necessarily have to work so hard for it at the beginning can be good because when you're in the process of, or when you're in that state of having your body dealing with, you know, shit like cheeseburgers from McDonald's and like just, you know, bags of fucking pork rinds or Cheetos and fucking soda pop and
Fucking
Taco
gummy
Bell
bears
and, you know,
Sour
like,
Patch Kids.
you know, just all the worst fucking food. Your body has set itself up to deal with that the best that it can. And then when you start giving it healthy food, it doesn't know what to do with it right away. So that's what puts a lot of people off because like,
They feel depleted for the first day or so.
well, yeah, they don't feel full.
Satisfied.
Satisfied or hungry. You're still hungry, and
And
you're
their
like,
blood
that's
sugar
not
is probably all over the place too, right?
exactly. So what happens is that people just that's where people break. I think the most is where their body's just not ready to give when they start eating right, and then they're like. They break and they say, "Fuck it, I'm giving what my body's asking for." Oh, that's better than
it's
cheeseburger.
It's that first push. You just got to make far enough through.
Yeah, so that's the thing that you really want to work on first. So you don't want to make it hard on yourself on top of that. That's so when you go and try and buy. So when someone goes and buys like an $80 juicer, and they don't realize it entails all this work. We're like prepping this stuff, washing this stuff. I mean, you still have to wash this stuff, but there's things you can do to make it way easier. And first thing you can do is to buy the right equipment. Get one with big mouth on it, so you can just shove apples in whole, shove like 4 or 5 carrots in at a time.
To reiterate, you want something with a big mouth so you can shove a lot of big stuff in it.
Yes, you want to shove big stuff into your hole,
Yeah.
and then make the juice come out.
Ugh.
So here's the idea: you get the juice, you make it, you go to Costco, you get the juicer, you go to Costco, you buy big bags of carrots, you buy big bags of celery, you buy big bags of kale, spinach, fucking anything that you want to put in there, fruits.
Yeah. The more colors, the better, they say, right?
Right. It's anything good.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to just fill it up with like fruit because that's just too much of sugar, but you want to fill it up with a bunch of vegetables and then
You probably want some
throw a couple
fruit
apples in there.
apples. Pears, right? Apples, they're good. They
Yeah,
add a lot. A little bit adds a lot. Right?
Yeah, you get a cup that you full of juice that you drink with these things are actually pretty easy to clean. The thing about juicing is that if you get the right one, it's got a big mouth, goes in, makes the juice, and then you just pull it apart. It's like 6 or 7 different parts that you just kind of hose off, and then it's done. And they all come with brushes to clean off the little grate or whatever. But
You gotta do it every time, otherwise you get fruit flies.
yeah, you got to do it every time. But it takes seriously just like a couple.
Well, after drinking all
couple
that
minutes.
juice, you get all this extra energy anyway, so it doesn't matter. It balances out, right?
Yeah, well, not at first. That's the thing. The easiest way you can do it, the best / easiest way you can do it, is to find something like that, is to juice. And so what you're getting is all these vegetables that you weren't eating before when you were eating cheeseburgers and
How many
Taco
times a
Bell.
day do you drink this juice? The first.
So when I did it 2 times a day.
Okay.
If I had to do it again, I would still do it 2 times a day, but I would do it breakfast and dinner. So what I did was I did juice twice a day, one in the morning, one in the afternoon,
Yeah.
and then I basically ate whatever the fuck I wanted for dinner.
Uh-huh.
I didn't go overboard, but any kind of thing that I wanted, I would eat.
Yeah.
If I had to do it over again, I would basically do kind of the same thing, but I would just eat at lunch instead.
Why lunch?
Because I think it would be more important to give my body food in the middle of the
While
day
you're
when I
working,
still had stuff to
yeah.
do. Yeah. Instead of
Yeah.
right in the middle of the night at night when
Right before bed, and then you gotta metabolize that shit while you're sleeping still.
Right. So the idea with doing this is that you drink the juice, and then it's easy enough to just do, and then you will still be hungry.
Can you make the whole day's worth of juice in the morning, and then put it in like thermoses?
If you
Does it not keep
get
low?
a juicer, or a nice enough juicer that makes it low temperature, it doesn't spin it up too fast and heat the juice up as it gets up.
Whoa.
You can keep it for a lot longer. That's what I have. One of the ones.
So you do like your day's worth at a time, maybe?
I don't. I do it once every time. I'm doing something different now, but
But like a person just starting wouldn't necessarily have to clean the thing twice a day, would they? Maybe or
yeah, they might have to.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's not hard.
be
Like I said, you just
realistic,
rinse it off, basically. You know?
Yeah, you can rinse it off. Come on, you can't rinse it off. You can rinse it off. Come on, fat ass.
Yeah, I mean, it isn't. I never use soap on mine. Once in a while. When it.
Kevin, you got to get your shit together. You can't be afraid to have to wash the thing twice a day. I mean, come on, it's part of the program.
Yeah, that's going to be the worst part, is washing the juicer. If you can deal with washing a juicer, I mean, that's going to be the worst part. And washing a juicer and just like dealing with feeling hungry for a couple days while your body starts getting used to you giving it proper nutrition rather than the shit that you've been giving it. So what happens is that like after about 4 or 5 days, you'll stop being hungry after you drink the juice. And instead of craving the shit that you used to eat before, you'll start craving actual nutrition because your body's starting to get used to giving it actual stuff. And then
So don't be afraid of your feelings, Kevin. When you start feeling hungry for the first couple of days, you don't have to go try to fill up the hole. You just power through. You got will. You got a plan. You got purpose.
And here's another thing. If you really can't get away from drive-through, if you just got to go fucking have fast food, I don't want to endorse this fast food company necessarily, but this is a trick that I used while I was juicing as well. Actually, you know what? I did eat during the lunch sometimes instead of the juice instead of dinner because what I would do is I would juice in the morning and then I would go to Panda Express
Oh.
and I would get, instead of the chow mein or the fried rice, I would get the vegetable medley
Whoa. That's,
with the steamed. It's just like steamed vegetables.
didn't even know they had a third option.
Yeah, you can get just vegetables, and then you can get just the two side thing with just like double chicken teriyaki with the sauce on the side, so you don't have all the sugary sauce on it. So it's just grilled chicken and vegetables in a it's about like $6-7 I think. Or whatever.
Now, are you watching the salt at this point too, or do you use it?
Not so much right
as much as you
now.
want?
I get my blood work done by my doctor. My sodium levels are all right. My cholesterol's all right.
Cool.
I don't go nuts with the salt, but I don't avoid it.
Like you're not afraid of it if you feel like your food might be a little blander than what you're used to, especially during a transition, going from fucking fast food drive-thrus to something more along those lines that you're talking about, like more unadulterated food, like a vegetable, steamed, cooked, a piece of meat, a chicken breast, kind of baked or whatever, not fried. You know what I'm saying? The healthier option that isn't as, it's not as fascinating, maybe right at the first look on your palate. So you're not afraid of the salt then, maybe a little, or seasonings to
No.
You want to avoid.
To me, I'm not. To me, I mean, unless I have some. I have a little bit of high blood pressure. I guess
Yeah.
it's like slightly high, and they watch that. I just don't think I would have to take.
What kind of stuff can you season your stuff with? Like, what kind of sauces are good? What kind of sauces are bad? You mentioned sauces that are like sugary and gross. I never really thought about it before.
Well, sweet sauces like teriyaki. I mean, that was the one because that chicken that you get at the Panda Express is the chicken teriyaki.
Even though like orange chicken, all that stuff is like slathered in something with a lot of sugar in it, probably. Huh?
Yeah, orange by itself. I mean, orange is a pretty sugary fruit, but yeah. I mean, you know what the healthy option is. It's the not sweet, the not If you're let's see, this anonymous person says they're a lazy fat person. I mean, so if you're fat,
it's Kevin.
so if you're fat, you don't want to eat a whole lot of starches. Starches and sugar, the carbs. You want to start cutting back on those. You don't necessarily want to just cut them out completely. You just like back your body into a corner. You want to cut down a little bit. Maybe a little bit at a time.
Too much send you into some kind of shock.
Yeah. So I mean, just be reasonable with that. What I do is like, because I'm trying to cut weight too. I need to.
Because he's got to wrestle this little guy.
I'm in a cutting phase before I get into a bulking phase. No, what I do is I eat boiled chicken. I do chicken and nuts in the morning. Boiled chicken
and nuts.
Yeah, boiled chicken is super easy. Boiled chicken is like one of the easiest thing. It's just 15 minutes with a chicken breast in the pot. Bam, you're done.
How long does it take to pluck the thing before you get it in the water?
Well, if you strangle it at like 6 a.m., then you can.
It's in the water.
I can usually
by
get
9,
in the
or?
water by 9. Yeah, so
all right, that's what I was thinking. That's not too bad.
No, I get packs of just chicken breast, like skinless chicken breasts from Fred Meyer or whatever, and just like throw them in one at a time. They take 15 minutes.
See that, Kevin? The easy way. You can just go buy it at the store. It's already butchered for you.
And that is a super easy thing to do to lose weight. It's not necessarily. I mean, if you're looking to get into just better nutrition, I would definitely recommend starting with juicing because you'll still lose weight and but you'll be giving your body exactly what it needs. So just
you
lots
can
of
start
vegetables.
by cutting out the bullshit, right?
People need to eat vegetables way more than they do because it's really hard to eat vegetables. It's
if you're not used
to it. It just is.
Yeah, if you're not.
Well, if you're not used to it, but and even. The amount of vegetables one person really would have to eat to get the amount, that's an intense amount.
When you cook for yourself, you're more prone to just make the main course because you're kind of like, oh, I want steaks or I want a burger. And then you make that. That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
You don't really think always.
And it's just a lot of work anyway, having to wash and
make
chop
an extra dish,
a
vegetable dish.
Yeah, I understand that. But
something to be said for like hippies do it. They just cook a whole shitload of something.
But so what I'm doing right now is I eat boiled chicken breasts and nuts in the morning. And you boil them with just like either in broth or like, just whatever kind of spices you want in there to make it taste like whatever the fuck you want. And then I take this stuff called Green Vibrance from Vibrant Health.
Is that why you're looking so green and vibrant?
Yeah, well, so what it is, it's like this stuff that's like, it's a supplement. It's if you can't get the greens, you know, if you've got a busy lifestyle, you know,
Oh,
you know,
I
and
get
you don't have the time to chop up vegetables and shit. It's this powder that you keep in the freezer.
It's like the ultra potent, like 4x.
yeah, it's like powdered.
vegetable
It's
powder.
all this vegetable stuff plus a bunch of like probiotics and a
nice.
bunch of you know, immune supporting kind of things. And
And for a guy like Kevin who does not pay too much attention to nutrition, what's a quickest way to what's a probiotic? I mean, that's a
beneficial bacteria for your body that do different things like help you digest food. Things like acidophilus that go all over your skin and help you fight infections and stuff like that. Probiotics for your immune system to help, you know, to kill off bad bacteria that get into your body. All kinds of shit. I mean, there's all bacteria is awesome. Bacteria is mostly beneficial. There's so many more beneficial bacteria than there are shitty bacteria in the world.
there's so many more bacteria than there are people in the world.
Yeah, that's true too. But yeah, and it's all and most of it's good. I mean, we are made up of a good good percentage of
We've
bacteria.
got
ourselves.
civilizations within us, Kevin.
Yeah,
Fascinating
And
stuff.
probiotics are definitely good. They help you, absorb nutrition that you need easier because your body is probably not used to getting the nutrition that it needs. It's just used to dealing with the crap that you've been giving it for years and giving you that fat gut, you lazy ass.
Shit, Kevin. Before it's too late, man.
You said it, not me. Lazy fat person.
Yeah, damn, dude.
You're too hard on yourself, man.
Yeah, you're not a lazy fat person.
No, you know what? I take that back because
Your behavior's been lazy
one of
and
the one of the things that got me started on this was some guy totally fat shaming.
Really?
And I was just like, man, he's right because I was fat.
Like a friend of yours?
No, it was this guy on a podcast. It was just
Whose podcast was it?
it was Bill Burr.
Ah, fucking Bill Burr strikes
Yeah.
again. Hell yeah, he helps people with that shit. But he's a gentleman. He's nice. He's nice about it. He's
But he's kind of
he's kind
of a dick about
cruel
it
to be
sometimes.
kind
But I
or
like
whatever.
that. It's a very East Coast kind of thing where people just kind of say shit,
Yeah, yeah.
And I like
He busts
that.
your balls about it.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that kind of directness. It speaks to me, and
He
so
seems like he cares.
yeah, I know, and
Yeah.
that's I was like, you know what, yeah, I'm fat,
Yeah,
but yeah,
I got fat too, my friend.
did you?
I was telling you I was on some medication for a while there,
Oh yeah,
and it's for pain and stuff, and yeah, those kind of medications, those opiates, give you a sweet tooth, man. I don't know what, it's like a common thing. You see, like junkies eating candy all the time and shit. But yeah, no, I ate so much fucking candy, and I just I kind of got a little bit numb. Not enough to notice though, but over time I gained a lot of weight. Like I got bigger. I looked at myself and I don't look good with weight on me, like at all. In fact, I look offensive. My body type, because I'm really tall and gangly. Yeah, it's not good looking.
What are you normally like? What is your body like? What are ectomorphic or endo? Like you're.
Oh yeah, I don't remember what the terms mean.
Well, one of you were naturally like lean.
Yeah,
and
I'm pretty lean,
It's
yeah.
hard for you to build up.
When I was a teenager, and I felt like what it meant to be a man is to have like a muscle and some kind of I felt like a frail thing. I couldn't put on weight at all. I ate all the fucking time. I ate everything.
Yeah,
I
okay.
ate all of everything.
I was the
just
exact opposite.
Totally skinny.
Yeah, I had no problem. I had a hard time keeping it off.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess, yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, and then, I don't know what changed, but now I think it's just like total nutrition. It's
Yeah.
just
You just laid off the bullshit, and that's a big move, isn't
Yeah.
it? Like, it's a big move not to, like, actively eat something. I mean, it might be more difficult to find the things that are good and right, and that might take more time to develop yourself into where your patterns are such that you're constantly putting things in that are the right things. But at first, I mean, the easiest thing to do, right, would be just start to go, oh, fuck that thing. I used to eat you all the time. I thought you were delicious, but, you don't do good things to me.
yeah,
That kind of shit, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you're I think it depends on where you are. Like, because if you're in a spot where you're going to different kinds of restaurants or things like if you're eating out a lot, but you're at least going to places to sit down and at least serve some kind of healthy option, like. Then you're maybe in a position to be able to, make the healthy choice. But if you're in a zone where you're just going to the McDonald's drive-through every time you're hungry, which a lot of people really are, like there's people out there that just that solely live on drive-through food.
Yeah.
And it's just I've been there, just not even because I wanted to, because it worked or whatever. And that's
Yeah, I've
just,
done that shit too. I mean, yeah, I had a driving job. It was like that. Like, what the fuck are you gonna do? You don't have time to really take time
Right.
out between appointments or whatever,
exactly.
and you're fucking hungry, and it's like $8.
Yeah, so if all you're used to doing is going to the drive-thru, you don't have a healthy option because there is no healthy option at the McDonald's drive-thru.
Nah, but if the night before you'd thought ahead and gone to the store and bought a few things and put in
Right, but
Tupperware.
I think that even that is a bit much of a life change for some people. If to be able to just like they see that as a very insurmountable kind of mountain.
Really?
Yeah,
Just they can't even like
I mean I know.
get a lot of one thing, like make a bunch of chili and just put it in a fucking thermos or something with beans, vegetables, whatever, something.
Yeah, I mean I
One
don't know.
thing?
That's a lot of work for some people too. I think that,
Buy a chili, a big
buy
or
it.
whatever. I don't know. Make is maybe harder. How do you get something healthy and have it, man? It is hard, isn't it?
So like I said, juice, and that's how I
Juice.
did it. Juice, it was easy because then I could just get big bags of carrots and all that stuff from Costco.
Juice. When I think juice, I think of sweet like sweet fruit juice. But what you're describing is
I'm trying to mostly vegetables.
it's juice with a capital J. It's like
yeah,
very
lots of
specifically
kale and
it's
lots of
substance
spinach.
and shit. There's texture maybe to it at all, or
Yeah, a little bit.
Is
Hopefully
it-
not.
Are you getting rid of all the pulp from this? Like all the
Yeah.
actual fibers?
Yeah, that's what
Plant
juice
matter.
necessarily
Isn't that a
is.
lot of the shit that's good for you in vegetables?
Yeah,
too?
you would definitely
The
get more
fiber.
if you ate a lot of the fiber. But I mean, the thing that you really need, I mean, if you're really just looking to get your body used to getting nutrition as opposed to craving, if you're looking to get your body to stop craving crap and just start craving what you really should be eating anyway, you want to get the nutrition that the vegetables provide, and it's just the bottom line is it's just some people just aren't going to eat those vegetables because that's just not what they're used to eating.
So for the first couple of days, are you able to stop shitting constantly when you just go straight from?
I didn't have any
McDonald's to
bowel
juice like
problems
that?
at all.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, cool. That's good. That's good to know, Kevin. You don't have to worry about that. It's just a
Yeah.
matter of cleaning things twice a day and going one trip to the store.
If I
buy a
did
bunch
though,
of
it wouldn't have
stuff.
bothered me. I mean, I would have gone with it anyway.
You would have felt like, oh, there goes all the bad parts of me.
No, I would have been like, well, I mean, at least it's acknowledging a change,
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
if it kept up like that, and if I kept having diarrhea,
You're like results. I think some girls do take stuff that
it
makes
would
them do
stop
that.
maybe. But
Women sometimes women have had weight issues and talked about them for years. I guess it's different for guys.
yeah,
We don't have that kind of thing. In
I just read an article the
social-
other day that was like most eating disorders in men are undiagnosed,
I bet.
like 80 to 90% of them, because we just look at like some fat guy
Yeah.
eating, and it's just like, oh, it's just some fat guy eating. It's not that he's like overeating or that he's like,
Yeah, women are so held to the standard of the way they look.
yeah,
Even if they're not trying to get anything out of it. It's just like they have to be somehow, if they're not sexually attractive, they're considered to be like not trying or whatever. So
right.
they have to almost socially do that for whatever reason, professionally and stuff, So they have to really pay attention to it and judge themselves like that and judge each other that way. It's kind of fucking weird. I'm glad I don't have to deal with that shit. But then again, I feel bad if I'm off, kind of like to the point where it's like noticeably like gross. I don't want to walk around looking gross.
Oh yeah.
I hate that fucking feeling like, oh, I didn't know, like I had a booger all day, or like, oh
Yeah,
something
for
stuck in
sure.
my
Because
tooth
I
all
hate
day.
it
Yeah.
when I see that stuff too.
Yeah,
It weirds me
it's,
out.
yeah, I can't look at them right. Like,
Right.
I don't want to be the source of that feeling. I'm not a musician. Like, my whole thing is like my ultimate dream is to fucking do a thing, make a thing happen that makes people feel good.
Yeah.
And
And it's hard to do
the
that.
opposite feeling is the worst to me. Like the fucking worst. Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah. When the thing you did that you meant to bring joy brings like,
Yeah, or just you're walking around not knowing it's there, so like you're just acting normal and all confident and shit.
Oh, right.
And like you come to later find out I've been fucking all wrong today. Like that feeling just ugh.
yeah, that feeling you get when you like said something and you thought it went over fine, and then you think about it later and then you're like, wait a minute, they just thought I was a total dick and just
Or that
acted
time
like
you were
I,
the only one drunk. Or
Right.
fucking whatever, yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah.
Man, you can't win sometimes. Can't win.
Hey, fuck, can't win for losing, man. God damn.
Yeah, man. So yeah, Anonymous.
It's Kevin. Just cut the bullshit. You can't be afraid, Kevin. Everyone already knows. Everyone already knows, dude.
Everyone calls you fat.
Hey, but here's the thing, Kevin. Here's the fucking beauty of it. Everyone knows, but we love you anyway. We accept you anyways. We believe in you, dude. No one ever thought bad of you. We just thought, shit, man. Too bad for Kevin. Hope he gets his shit together. He can do it though. We believe in him, right?
Oh yeah, I believe in Kevin
yeah.
or Anonymous.
Yeah. See,
So yeah. Yeah, and to sum up, juice. My recommendation, my semi non-official recommendation would be to either juice or start eating boiled chicken and nuts in the morning, and then taking something like Green Vibrance as a supplement if you don't really want to get into all that juice and shit. But juicing is better because it'll get you get you used to all the vitamins and shit that you need, and then once you do that, and you'll start being hungry for the juice, and then you'll be like, I want a glass of juice, and then that'll turn into, man, I want a big pile of vegetables. That sounds delicious.
cut to 2 months later, and it's like, I need to do 20 more diamond push-ups.
And then like pounds, especially at first, will just like fly off. Mm-hmm. Like if you're fat and then you start eating right, you'll lose weight like right away.
Oh, then there's that other phase that happens. That plateau for a while.
Yeah,
where
you'll
that
plateau.
that last stretch, it's like, what the
Takes
fuck?
for fucking ever.
It's like, it's almost as if
That's
you
where
feel
I'm
like,
at.
what am I doing wrong? Like it's
Yeah.
I'm a fucking fat ass. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, and when you plateau, you either need to. The other part to the getting healthy thing is that you got to exercise.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah, and so especially losing weight, like cardio is going to be important.
Exercise is easy. I mean, if
you
Kevin,
walk.
if you're already listening to podcasts, that means that it's it's kind of hard to sit and listen to a podcast. If you take a walk, what better thing to fucking do than listen to your favorite fucking podcast?
Yeah, no. When I walk Tofu, my
Yeah,
dog,
yeah,
I listen to podcasts on my phone.
Yeah, if you have an animal, that's the absolute easy way to get into that.
Yeah.
Or if you know someone that does and goes for, you can go with them or something.
But you know what? I feel I feel not wanting to go walk because it seems like kind of even getting up and going out. I mean, you should break through that.
Yeah, no,
You should definitely break through that
Yeah,
because that's
fuck yeah, break through
because that that thing that tells you, I don't want to go walk somewhere. That's just pointless, or that is that voice that we were talking
that's
about.
depression, dude. That's
Yeah, it is
depression, and it's like
depression.
lack of fucking self-respect and self-confidence, man.
It's a fucking demon in your head.
Yeah.
It's telling you to do bad stuff. It's the fucking devil.
Yeah.
It's just
If you've ever gotten mad at someone for causing you pain or undue or unnecessary fucking misery, and especially if they took pleasure in it or something like that, and you felt like they were wrong and they shouldn't have done that, well, dude, when you're fucking running around talking yourself out of doing the thing that would be good for you like that, to the point where you're about to do it, you had planned on doing it, you already decided to do it, but then at the last few minutes of it, you're like, oh, what's the fucking point? And you let yourself not do it, man. You're being that person that's fucking you over. And so, get your shit together.
Yeah.
Get your head in check.
yeah. And that is the unfortunate sort of realization that a lot of people don't get past, is that it's all in your head, and it's all this kind of thing that you've got to get over. And
Yeah, it's a matter of make a plan and just absolutely stick to it. Like it's in stone. Find a way to make it in stone. Like if writing it down doesn't work, or if thinking it doesn't work, then write it down. If writing it down doesn't work, write it down and put it on a wall, so it's not only you can see it, but others can see it. If telling someone that you know and see a lot, if that helps, that also might make you feel shittier if you tell people you're gonna do it and you don't. It might make you feel like even more of a failure and make you more scared to try.
Yeah.
Right? But there's got to be a system you can devise to trick your own bullshit. It's what you got to do is you can figure out your bullshit's pattern
yeah.
and sneak up ahead of it.
And I guarantee you will have a lot easier time getting over that shit if you eat right. It sounds,
Dude, making
it sounds
any move,
cheesy.
right? Any move that you make, like that's gonna be one of the things that helps that shit. Whether it's like, oh, I'm gonna start working out, or I'm gonna quit smoking, or I'm gonna start eating fucking healthier, and
Yeah.
quit eating bullshit. Whatever move it is that you make, man, it's like the other ones start to come easier as long as you believe in that one and push through that initial get momentum, right?
Yeah,
momentum,
well, and
fucking
nutrition especially is because
Yeah.
that directly affects the way you feel and how you approach
Yeah.
things. I mean, it affects
Yeah,
your
you're
mental
right.
state directly. How you eat does. And
Yeah, the proper
if you're
balance.
going around eating crap, you're going around feeling like crap all the time.
bogging yourself down.
Yeah, and it's really hard to push through things when you can't even push through your own mind.
Fuck
You're-
yeah.
That just fog that weighs
Dude,
you
yeah,
down.
your moods change a lot too because of that. You get a lot probably more dependent on that fucking swing up and down and shit. And then also when you're down or whatever, you probably
Yeah, because when
can't
you're
even think
when you're eating
clearly.
crap, when you're eating a lot of things like sugar and shit with like bread, like burgers and stuff, and
Yeah.
you're eating what you're doing is you're spiking your blood sugar like really quickly, like your blood sugar goes up and then it crashes, and then it goes up and then it crashes. That's what you eating does, and you're
absolutely changes your mood.
yeah, and it's going to give you diabetes someday.
That too,
You know, and you know it absolutely changes your mood
and
because
it enslaves your whole personality changes with your moods.
yeah, your whole personality, your whole body, you just
Yeah.
it becomes, you know, you are what you eat in a sense. You know,
Get
it's
extremely
cliche, but
get extremely enraged and angry in a car. It's in road rage style, and try to do a fucking math problem that you could do any other time. Your whole fucking your whole system changes. Your whole mental.
You're so preoccupied with something else.
Yeah, that whatever it is. Yeah, moods completely affect who you are, man. So like, for you to have be in a habit of talking yourself out of things like that, then it might be sugar could be a huge part of that, man.
Yeah.
Plus, that's one little move that if you actually can make and power through that first part. What's that expression? That old fucking whatever wisdom thing about like comparing the thoughts that you have like that to a bunch of birds, right? It's like a meditation thing, and they say like you're feeding the birds all the time. Like, yeah, it's okay to have the thought or the feeling. Yeah, of course, when you're about to go for the first time or the first 2 or 3 times you're gonna go for a walk or do whatever the fuck it is. And you start to have that voice, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't help that. That's the thing. It's the pattern. It's there. Whatever. That's the birds coming, right? But you don't feed the fucking thing. You don't start to go, yeah, fucking A, man. This does suck. Yeah, this fucking sucks. You don't say it. You don't fucking actually think it all the way in your intent, in your voice, and in your heart. You don't think it. You hear it coming in your head, and you're like, yeah, I know, but whatever, fuck you. You just get your shoes on. And, it's that thing. You don't feed the fucking birds. And they say that, like, right when you cut them off, when you finally stop feeding them, they fucking flip out and they fucking start like swarming on you and fucking pecking at you, and it gets worse for a little bit. They flip out, but then eventually they realize like, there's nothing here. There's no food here, and so they split.
Right.
It's not a source of food anymore.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it.
At some point, you're at a place where you can actually hear yourself when you talk to yourself on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's levels that you can get to, with things like that definitely help everything else that you.
But you got to expect that initial part to be a bit of a turbulent push, and the turbulence is going to be in the form of all the negative backfeeding and shit.
Yeah, but the more things that you get over, the more things that you can do, the more of these obstacles that you overcome, it becomes fun. It stops becoming an obstacle.
Momentum, dude. Again, back to momentum.
Exactly.
It's totally momentum.
It becomes a thing that you want to do and that feels good.
Fuck yeah.
I've never thought working out felt good at all.
Once your pattern though, it's like that's what becomes the thing that fucking feeds you, that gets you going. Like you recognize it, your body, right? Oh yeah, this. And without it, suddenly you're off, right?
Yeah. And now like it's actually fun. Like and it's still repetitive, and I've got to I listen to podcasts and stuff while I do it, but like. Yeah. But I mean, it's it feels good. I see the benefit. I know what the benefits are. I feel good taking an active part in my own health.
Okay.
It makes me feel good as a person. It makes me,
Yeah, dude, you're using your will to instigate an experience, and you're having a complete experience, body and fucking mind. Because when you work out, you're pushing yourself physically to the point where your physical wants to start to stop, and you use your mental to push it a little farther.
Yeah.
So you're having this complete experience. It's an actual fully immersed experience, and that you are the one that decided when and where to create it. It's a fucking power move. It's a fucking man move, man. It's like actual fucking move to make. So yeah, there is a thing that fucking feels good about it.
Yeah, and then because when you get to that point, you realize that that's where all the like improvement comes from.
Yeah,
is when you get there and when you're pushing your muscles and when you're just like shaking and you're like you can barely push it, but you're doing it anyway. Yeah. That's where you're telling your muscles that they need to do more, and so when they'll grow, you know.
And when you've been doing it long enough to where you can see the patterns of the changes that happen, like, well, you notice the first change. Wow, I feel a little more trim and agile, and I have a little more energy, more bounce in my step. And then the next change, you notice, wow, my shoulders a little fucking bigger. I feel more fucking confident and settled in.
Yeah.
Third thing that happens, wow, I'm a little more focused in my tasks. I'm a little bit less erratic emotionally. Whatever, all these things, once you start to notice the things that trigger those things and the duration between them happening, you start to be able to anticipate the next moves and the next changes, and you start to be able to target them more specifically to areas you want to improve. And it becomes a fucking thing like that where, you always have some over the horizon that you're moving at, and it becomes your thing you're going after. Yeah, the excitement.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Life becomes fun when you, instead of being like a shitty thing, you've got all these things lined up. The way I always used to look at it is like I was like, because I used to have a lot of problems with like depression and stuff.
Shit, who doesn't?
And one of the early ways I always got over it or learned to get over, you know, negative thought patterns that I would get into that weren't necessarily good for anything. The way I would get over that is always look for something to look forward to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't, if
the
as
reward
long,
system thing. Yeah,
yeah, well, I always have something in the future
Yeah.
that I know is going to happen that I'm going to enjoy. You know, that I maybe I've got some things that I need to do to prepare for. And
something that you're in control of whether it happens or not. So you can count on it
or
happening.
something. Or something that you know you can count on happening.
Yeah.
That no matter what shitty thing happens,
Yeah.
no matter whatever fucking like shitty thing, at least there's this thing
Fuck
that you've got that you can look forward to.
That's why people go to school, because they get to graduate, right, or something.
Right.
Yeah. Or they get prom coming, or fucking whatever.
Right, and it sounds like kind of, you know, cheesy or hack or whatever, but it's true. Like it's just it really is that simple. It's just like there's this thing that you got to look forward to, and then, you know, eventually that extends into, like, you know, you've got all these things that you do that don't necessarily have like a benefit immediately. So the kind of things that are kind of hard to keep up, like working out, you know, and eating right. And
that's the difference between being a drug addict, where you get instant gratification, where you're chasing a thing that you need to get straight because you don't feel right, you can't function right, you have responsibilities and shit, then you cannot achieve or meet them if you don't get straight. So you get the fucking shit, and it straightens you out. Whatever, you can do your thing instantly,
right,
upon fucking receipt, right? Well, with the shit that's actually good for you, it's like you have to go with a different rhythm. The results kind of come in a week. Well, I mean, some start to become immediate, but they're not necessarily comfortable or comforting, right?
Right.
But in retrospect, you can see where it started, and it usually starts with something chaotic internally, emotionally.
Yeah.
But like, you know, it's a bit, you know, you're kicking up a little dust inside of yourself when you do this kind of shit. It's cool though.
Yeah. No, it makes you a way better person in the end.
Yeah, it's like riding a rodeo, an emotional rodeo, right? But but you got, it's like a different pace. But it's like when you listen to, we see lightning and you count until you hear the thunder to see how far away it is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like drugs are like right over your head, man.
Oh, right.
Yeah, but like sometimes like things that are better for you, or that actually get more out of, like you can play video games and get it instantly, but you can practice guitar and get it like better, longer.
Yeah, it's
later.
more arduous,
and it's more later. Yeah.
It's more arduous, but in the end, you've got something that you can be proud of, or you've got, you know.
Yeah, you'll have a thing going on. Yeah, it's like
Right.
actually starts to generate something. It's actually a thing that's like planting something, and it starts to grow and produce fruits or whatever.
Yeah, you're never going to be a professional video game player.
Yeah, well, yeah, just video games and drugs kind of like, you know, they have their time and place. Not to say that they shouldn't.
Yeah, for sure.
But they're, you know, I think people use them sometimes to better their life because their life isn't fucking satisfied.
Yeah, that's one of the things I touched on with Jeff the other week. We, like the, anything that can be used as a crutch has the potential for abuse, or anything that can be used as an escape.
Yeah, that
has the
doesn't,
potential for abuse.
Yeah, well, you can escape into like exercise too, but that's a different thing, isn't it? Anything that only offers an escape.
Well, no,
right?
no, because if that's all you do, you know, and you don't do the shit that's necessary to pay the rent, because all you're
But
you're
I'm
doing
just
is going
saying,
to the gym.
escape as an idea, like, or as a thing, can't be like.
No, escape is definitely a good thing, but if all you're doing is escaping
Yeah.
because you just don't want to deal
If
with your
that's
life.
the only way you approach the things in your life that aren't working out, I guess.
Right. Is by
that's
just
when
going
it's
to
a problem, yeah.
And that's what a lot of people do is they'll, you know, they sit there and they just sit and play video games. Because one of the criticisms Jeff has with weed is that he says it makes people lazy.
That's a common thing that people say that don't smoke it.
Right. Yeah. And that's what I said. I mean, it doesn't make you lazy.
In movies, it does.
Yeah, in
and on
movies it doesn't.
TV.
Well, you know, and if you smoke some indica,
And there's a lot of lazy
It's gonna
people.
make-
I think lazy people might be attracted to this shit for a certain reason.
right? No, and if you are a lazy person, though, the other thing that it kind of does is like bring out, you know, character traits in yourself, you know, that, and kind of amplify them sometimes. And
Yes, certain kinds of weed do give you the munchies and make your eyes like squinty.
yeah, that's what I was saying.
So if
And-
you're all constantly stoned, you like on that, I guess, especially as a kid, maybe you might start to develop a few personality traits that are more subdued.
yeah, that's what I was saying. Like indica makes you more likely to sit around and play video games. But even then, I mean, you've got to be the kind of person that does that.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make you do it. It just makes that more of a thing that you don't stop doing if you're already doing it and you're not paying attention to your life, maybe.
Right.
And you're depressed already.
Right,
They
yeah,
can
yeah.
just they can go hand in hand if you let them, I guess, maybe. Maybe
Yeah,
something,
for
right?
sure. I mean, they can because I mean it's an escape. That's the thing, and
Yeah.
they've got the other shit in their life that they don't want to deal with, or that that they think is going to be hard.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that people perceive weed as the thing that's doing that to people, though.
Right, but because that's the thing. It could be anything. Like
Yeah, absolutely.
I think one of the things I said was if weed makes you lazy, then buying stuff makes you a hoarder.
You know what fucking
You
else
know what
makes
I
you
mean?
lazy, dude? The fucking status quo.
Yeah,
And that makes you fucking lazy.
having a job makes you lazy because all you want to do
Yeah.
is come home and sit around. And,
Exactly, dude.
and it doesn't obviously, but it's
Creatively lazy people that do really good in school the first try all the way through, and then graduate, and then get a job that they were supposed to, and they just
Yeah.
end up in a thing, and they don't really have passions in their life, and they're not creative.
it all has to do
Those
with
people, I guess.
yeah, it all has to do with
lazy.
your emotional state, really, or it all has to do with it's all in your head. Somebody being lazy. I mean, because even if something makes you tired, if you ingest a substance that makes you tired, it doesn't mean it's making you lazy as a person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it.
If you're able to meet your responsibilities that allow you to like live in the world, like to be able to work or whatever, and like pay your bills and shit, and feed yourself and take care of your dependents. If you're able to meet those, and then yeah, add something. Like if you got kids and you're taking care of them and doing well with them, offering them a life, a little bit of interesting experiences, or if you don't have kids and you have like a project thing. Maybe you want to start your own business someday, so you're slowly working towards it, studying, fucking building something, whatever. Say whatever it is. Or learning in the meantime, or creating something. That seems like you're not lazy anymore. If you have a fucking job and you survive,
Right.
and you have anything you're interested in that you pursue that you're fucking actually doing something with, something that's not like a go nowhere thing. I'm sure lots of video game things have that. Like people that make video games or people that create new communities within them, perhaps, and then go to conventions and shit. I can only imagine that's probably somewhat of a thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes effort for sure.
It's not the coolest thing that I can think of to myself, but I can imagine that, yeah, that's their thing. So
Yeah.
it seems like that they're not lazy, even if they smoke weed and dress like Yoda or whatever the fuck. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Like,
They've got a thing at least.
yeah, they're doing, like, they're interested in their world and shit.
Yeah, I mean, if the last 3 presidents. You know what I mean? Like
You said president, I got sick in my stomach.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean, but I mean, these people are not lazy.
I don't even know if they're people, dude.
Whatever they aren't lazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's something.
But it takes a certain kind of ambition to get to something
I
like
hear what you're
that,
saying. Yeah, definitely.
and like it takes a lot of it.
Yeah,
And
the laziness argument is, I can. It's just because, like, yeah, because you can have a lazy pot smoker doesn't mean that pot makes. That's weird. Like,
yeah,
you can have a fat cop too, but being a cop doesn't make you fat.
Well, what happens is that people take their own experience with, some kind of substance abuse, or they have a family member,
Or
they themselves, or they have a family member that was that was into it, and they don't realize that they don't want to realize that that person had a problem. In their head, they want to think that something did it to them. They don't want to think it was their fault or something.
And if you smoked it twice in college, and both times you fucking sat and like stared at something and vegged out and like
Right.
couldn't communicate right and just ate a bunch of pizza. That's kind of not
most of the
you can't
country.
really-
That is another problem because most of the country gets shitty weed. We're spoiled up here in Washington, being able to. Not only is it legal, but
Plus,
we get
think
like
about
the
the
best
first
shit.
time people smoke it socially with friends and everything's normal.
Oh,
and
it gets
hanging
all
out. All of a
like-
sudden it gets all awkward and weird, and like
Yeah.
you get really weirded out. And you
when
just
you
get,
when you don't know what to expect.
yeah,
Yeah,
and you get paranoid
yeah.
and like, oh, whatever. So like, I don't know. I can't smoke weed. It makes me paranoid. It's just, I don't know.
yeah. There's for some people they have a little thing to get past there.
Yeah.
But
well, it can do that at any time. I think
Yeah.
people that smoke a lot of weed just know that happens sometimes, and it's kind of funny when it does. It's
Yeah.
usually just like, well, whatever. Like, this is weird.
But yeah, I mean, I think it provides a lot more benefits than it.
Yeah, I mean, for
Causes
people,
problems, for sure.
people that are like me or whatever, I noticed that it helps make you objective. Like, if you're a sensitive person, like we're talking about, and you go through things in your day that give you emotional, surges of like, sadness or anger or whatever the fuck, whether you act on them or not, if they kind of consume your head or your space like that, and then you come home at the end of the day and smoke a little herb, like a reasonable amount of herb, enough to kind of feel. You'll notice that, like, if you're thinking about that shit and still dwelling on it, suddenly while you're smoking it, all of a sudden you'll not be emotionally engaged like that anymore, and you'll see it kind of objectively. And you'll be like, oh, why did I get so mad at that person? That's stupid. I'm kind of embarrassed. I'm gonna have to apologize tomorrow. Or like, like why did I let that ruin my whole thing so much? Like that's whatever. Who cares about what that person thinks or whatever? You know, it gives you this objectivity
Yeah.
that can be very useful.
Yeah,
but
it definitely. It's very hard to like step back and like look at yourself and
yeah, when you're emotionally involved in
yeah, it's like one of the one of the reasons like I think psychedelics have been used so much like by like just different cultures over the fucking centuries, you know, just to
fuck yeah.
is you know medicine for their spirit, you know. Just,
Yeah, shit, yeah. Perspective.
yeah, and weed is you know a mild psychedelic for sure, and
Yeah.
it definitely helps you step back and take a look at yourself and like it. Dude, if you're going through a breakup or something like that, get
Oh,
real
God.
stoned.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, because you can't cry as hard. Like it's there's this thing about like if you know it'll give you a little objectivity, but if you start smoking it in the morning all the time, some people do that I know, and I know these people, and I don't think they're bad or that they're fucked up at all. But I just know for myself that when I used to smoke all day every day for certain years, the objectivity kind of does turn into a bit of a dulling out of certain emotional things. Like yeah, you got your fucking
Yeah, no,
your
you're
upsurge
definitely
is in
right.
check a little bit, but your sensitivity gets dulled a little bit too.
You're definitely right about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you do any one thing, you know,
For some people, the
All
people
the
that they
time.
claim are fucked up chemically and need medication or whatever, and like because
No, and
their
I'll-
chemicals are off, like and they have emotional upsurges that they can't not only control but affects their behavior to the point where they have literally no control over that shit, at whatever, very little, and they have problems socially in the world and they can't really fit in the work world or whatever. I could see it being very fucking helpful for them.
yeah,
It could not only dull that out a little bit, but it's not like it gives you any shortage of interesting thoughts.
Yeah.
In fact, it kind of kicks those into gear a little bit.
yeah, no, definitely. And you know, and I say because I kind of smoke a lot,
Yeah.
you know, and I don't know about all day every day, but
Yeah.
close. And you know, chances are, if you see me, I am probably some kind of high.
I'm very familiar with that lifestyle.
Yeah.
Myself and most people I know have been or are like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and but I mean, I can definitely see that, you know, because I don't smoke tons. You know, like I smoke a little bit.
Yeah, enough
When-
to make it work, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's changing attitude adjustment, what they call it.
You still want to feel shit. You know?
you still have shit to do.
You know, but well, more than that, you still want to be able to feel things that like. One of the things that when I'm sick, I don't really like taking cold medicine. You know what I
Interesting,
mean?
Yeah, your body's kicking all that snot out of you for a reason or whatever. It's
Yeah,
weird.
well, I mean that and it's just that I want to know where I'm at.
Yeah,
You know, because
yeah.
when I'm doped up and I don't feel like I'm sick, but I know I am, it makes me
Oh.
uncomfortable because I don't. I'm like,
Yeah.
am I getting worse or not? I
You
can't tell because
feel
I'm
your own
keeping
feelings.
myself.
Yeah, you can't feel your own feelings.
Yeah,
Again, Kevin, back to don't be afraid of your feelings. See, this thing keeps coming full circle. It's like a
Yeah.
magical podcast situation I think we're having here.
yeah,
Feeling like it's like a rainbow forming over us. You can't see it, folks. In the studio right now, there's a bit of a rainbow forming over us. It's kind of magical here.
yeah.
Yeah,
I feel the magic.
yeah.
No, but yeah, what were we talking about? We're talking about.
We're talking about how long is the longest podcast anyone's ever done before.
Oh,
Because how long do we have to go till we've beaten that record?
we're at 2:47 now.
Really?
Yeah.
That's not. I mean, for the ones that I listened to, that's not very long at all. Right?
No.
That's about normal, right?
Multi-hour podcasts for sure. Yeah.
In fact, I like those a lot. Like,
Yeah.
I get some of the good ones that are like an hour. I'm like, fuck, come on, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if this is good though. Like, who would know?
I don't know. I think it's been pretty good. It seems like it's been good.
Well,
to me.
I've been interested. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been having a great time. I couldn't possibly imagine what someone would want to listen to me talking to you for, but I like
I think
listening
it's
to other
interesting. I
people,
definitely
too.
because I think these are definitely the kinds of conversations that I've listened to other podcasts having,
Yeah,
and I'm
well,
interested in. So
I
don't
think these
see-
topics are fascinating, and I can imagine that anyone that was interested and was listening would probably be getting emotional rushes, thinking, "Fuck, I want to say this to you guys."
Yeah, but and here's
missing this
I've had
part, yeah.
some feedback from the podcast, and you know, all positive. And
Cool.
one of the things that I think people, at least the people that have gotten in touch with me, have gotten out of it is the people that are sort of depressed.
Yeah.
You know, because it's kind of the things that
Yeah, yeah.
going through kind of some of the same things
Dude,
that I'm
people
going
with active
through.
social lives, in this day and age, most of them have not even discovered podcasts yet.
Yeah, because they've got shit to do.
People who spend a lot of solitary time doing things, because that's the thing. You don't really sit and listen to you don't really listen to podcasts in groups
Yeah.
unless it's on a long drive. So for the most part, you're solitary, doing a lot of solitary activity when you listen to them.
Yeah.
And
so, I mean, well, the point being is that reaching somebody like that, being able to have somebody see that, like,
yeah,
they've gone through some stuff too, and that, there's definitely hope for not being able to.
Yeah, and it's cool. I think, yeah.
Or for not being able to just sit around, for being able to like do something that they want to do, because I think a lot of the people's like shitty feelings about their lives roots in the fact that they're just not doing what they want. You know what I mean?
Fucking A, man. Every shitty feeling I've ever had is that.
Yeah. And because people get locked into that whole practicality thing.
Or it's like, yeah, you're
or you
yeah.
get locked into a mode where you've just been doing something like computers or something like that for your whole life. And not because you really like computers, but because it's what you want.
Are we talking about Andrew right now?
A little bit.
Oh.
But
what do you like?
Well, I like podcasting.
Oh, I see. Communications, like fucking, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Connectivity on that kind of a platform and scale. Music, same thing, probably in a way. What you wanted out of that, maybe similar at the time.
Yeah. So I mean, and what I'm saying is a lot of people aren't doing that. They're doing what is practical, or what is going to keep their wife around, or is what's going to keep a paycheck coming in, or what. Yeah. And I think that I care a little less about that these days, and that's on purpose.
I give a lot less of a fuck than most people I know.
Yeah, and I say that having a job and stuff, and
me too.
But it's still people don't follow. I mean, it seems cheesy, but people don't follow their dreams, and they don't because they don't think like they just don't feel like it's going to work, and it's probably not. But that's not the point.
Well,
it's not an ends. Your dreams should be being a person.
I think
what I mean?
I think you got to realize it's probably fear of something bad happening, because like if you want to go out on a limb for it, but you got to be clear on what you expect to get out of it.
Yeah.
And what you like about it.
You have to be very limited about what you expect to get out of it.
You got to be realistic.
Expect to get anything. You got to expect.
Just look at the movie. Well, like
the only thing you can expect is to participate in the experience.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
And that's got to be what you want.
If that's the thing you want out of it, then you can totally get that.
Yeah.
You can fucking get that as hard as you want. And if you really like it, you'll find yourself doing everything you can do to clear your fucking way, so you have more time and more availability to do that shit. And then that'll be rewarding her and reward. Is that a word? Rewarding her?
More rewarding, yeah.
Yeah, every fucking step of the way as you realize this, I like this, and you just make more time for it.
And then the more you do something, the success comes after, when you become something.
The success is having a fucking established momentum,
right?
And having a venue to.
But
keep doing
what I'm talking about, the classical success. That's
what that is. You get money to do it.
Yeah.
You have a fan base of people who will come see your next shit.
Right.
That's the momentum I'm talking about. Yeah, like.
Right. It's either a fan base of that, or it's like a business.
A business, exactly. Yeah.
It's
talking about music, but yeah.
Right. No, exactly.
Anything really. Yeah.
Yeah, it's anything that
you have a storefront with a fucking name on the sign and a fucking license, and you've got the shit you sell already stocked on the shelves, and you gotta set up with the people you order it from. It's called momentum. And then definitely people that already know about your place and come there to get stuff. Yeah. So that if that's the fucking goal, to make it functional, like people don't start open a delicatessen because they want to be famous.
Right.
So if they know what they want out of it, a self-generating thing that's roughly this size in this community, specializing in this, and it gets business and it makes it work, that's fucking great, man.
Yeah, and if that's exactly what you're going for, then you're living the dream, as they say.
Yeah, and if you're an entrepreneur type style dude and that first one doesn't work out, man, well, you still win because you fucking learn from that shit. And you now can adjust your ideas for your next maneuver. So really, it applies in every angle. It's all about that momentum.
Yeah.
You got to call this podcast episode Momentum, right?
Momentum. That's not bad.
I'm going to start thinking about momentum, and maybe I'll learn how to use it better and write a song about it. That'd be cool. I've never written a song about something I wanted to... Like, I never said I'll write a song about this and been able to actually do it. I've said that a lot. I've never actually been able to sit and write a song about the thing.
I don't think I've ever done that either. No, I've done that. I've done that with songs that I didn't really like. Just kind of like fluff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's easy to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Yeah, no.
Yeah, I've made songs, I guess, about stuff, but I never feel like I wrote them.
What do you think about this? I always thought about songs as like not really things that I wrote but discovered. You know what I mean?
Yes. It's as if it fucking
The song already existed
it
before
like
you played
manifests itself to you, and it allows you a window in which to try to capture it by recording it down in your book and on your instrument or whatever. Somehow, fucking putting it into real life and being able to make it real into this dimension.
it. Right.
It's as if it shows you. It's
Well, I mean more like that pattern of sounds existed before you played it.
yeah.
You just happened to play it for the
You
first
hear it
time.
in your head, right? It comes in your head. It's like a full thing almost. Right?
Yeah, or I mean not like yeah, but I just mean like what I guess in more in terms of like ownership. That's what got me thinking about it because when people start talking about ownership of songs and like being owed money for a song being played, you know, for having a song being played.
Like ASCAP. I just listened to an interview today with Paul Williams. You know the guy that runs ASCAP, who wrote all those songs for the Muppets and shit. Really good
Yeah.
songwriter. And he talks about it from a very practical standpoint. And he just says, yeah, so the people who fucking made the songs, the whatever, he has a word that he calls them that implies all the different things, but. And he says, yeah, so that just make sure that they're compensated when their shit gets played, because when people are playing it, they're making money off it.
Right. Yeah,
So
but
they're using it, like if they played it during the Super Bowl in like cut to commercial, like play the song over and over, and you wrote it and recorded that song, they're making a lot of money.
Right. Well, I mean, that's different. I mean, you're using it for a commercial purpose at that point.
Or if you're playing on a radio
Explicitly.
station, or if you're playing it at a big event that's sponsored by someone and people are charged to get into.
Yeah. Well, well, here's what I'm saying. Here's what I'm saying. Like in the scientific community, for example, I mean, they don't talk about like
Because they're discovering things that are already
they
that
discover
already exist.
things, right?
Yeah.
They discover
Yeah.
things. They don't talk about like
I like
Einstein's
that, yeah.
invention
Yeah.
of relativity.
Yes.
They talk about it's not
Yeah,
his.
theory. Yeah, okay. Well, I get what you're saying. I like that approach where, yeah, you discovered this.
Yeah, I mean, I just discovered this.
Yeah.
I discovered this chain of sounds that sounds good together. How about
I like that one. But then there's that thing though, but where you combine that with this. I mean, I guess that's a thing that you do on purpose. You glue
Yeah.
things together in
Yeah,
a certain way. So yeah, like I guess I've made sculptures, but I used clay that was already there.
right?
I mean, kind of deal.
Yeah, I mean, it all goes in the same.
So you
pot.
did kind of make it
You can make
out
it,
of
but I
existing
mean,
shit.
even those two combinations of sounds could still have existed even without you.
So you're saying like the less unique and creative and authentic the shit is, the more they should just shut the fuck up and not try to claim intellectual property. Or the more
Yeah.
unique and fucking
Well, essentially, yeah.
new
I mean,
and
it's
shit,
well, it's
the
just
more
like
novel.
the idea that like somebody owes you money because you played a version of a song that they just happened to first play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it does come out. I mean, the song does come out of a certain
Well, I don't know.
amount of toil. It's like
I like what you're saying so much, but I also have a feeling I get when you say that, where I think of like the shit that I've always really liked, and how specific it is to the person who. Because I mean, keep in mind, I sat there and all growing up, I would listen to these songs to the point where they just absorbed me. I'd learn to play them on my instrument and try to reproduce those same sounds myself, and realize that I couldn't. I could learn the notes and play them in the right time and everything, but I couldn't produce that though. And like there was something that was their thing. There was that spirit in it.
Yeah.
And so like, there's something about that where when
right,
it's
but
real,
that's not what you're trying to capture. I mean, when you're just playing a song necessarily. I mean, sometimes maybe you are.
I think
or like
that's
when you
what-
cover a song, but
No, yeah, seriously, yeah, it's not about that. But I just mean that like that there's something so unique about like when it's good like that I can't like if someone did a Led Zeppelin song and didn't pay him for it, like if they're doing it for their commercial venture.
well, especially with something like Led Zeppelin, it's like.
Or what about Shellac? Fucking
Well, since that would be that for me would have a way stronger case
Yeah.
for by being owed money because like they're not making an ass ton of money off their
so
music.
you're judging them based on whether they're making money already or not.
Well,
basically.
because I find it very funny
okay.
that the people that make the biggest stink about it make a lot of
So
money. So like here's the example. Led Zeppelin,
Yeah.
for example, like should their music has permeated the consciousness.
Satisfaction by the Stones should be public domain. There should be a
Right.
certain
I mean-
limit to where then all of a sudden it's public domain.
There's yeah, I mean, there's just a certain level where,
Yeah.
where a song is pumped out into the
Yeah, you
airwaves
guys
like
win, you got it
24/7,
up
and
and
when you go
over
into
the-
public, where you're going into public places and you're hearing songs played every
Yeah.
day,
Yeah.
certain songs.
Yeah, you can't get away from it, dude.
How does that? You're right.
cannot get away
If you
from it.
can't get away from it, how can any one person really claim ownership on that? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Except for the fact that it's this radio station they keep putting out there, and they're making all that money off it. And those are
Right.
the
There's
dudes
all
that
there's all
recorded
kinds
it.
of people
That's their
making
voice
money.
on the thing.
Right. There's all kinds
They
of
should
people
be getting
making.
money.
Well,
That's like saying like, why do
well,
football players
possibly,
make
but,
so much money?
well,
But
what I'm talking about is like more from the perspective of just like having an illegal copy of it.
yeah, yeah, fuck that. Any artist who fucking is out there like actually doesn't want people to download their shit for free is a fucking asshole.
That's what I'm talking about.
Dude, fuck that shit.
not that necessarily they don't deserve money for their
yeah,
toils.
no, absolutely they do. Yeah,
but the thing is that they get money.
if
for
their
their
shit that they're
toils.
making is fucking quality,
If they're doing the right things, if they're going out on tour, they're
Yeah,
making money.
people will come and
if
buy
they're-
their
if
shit.
they're you're right, if they're making CDs, people will buy.
if you're
their
signing your
You
shit
know-
after their show and people came to see you because they liked your shit, they'll buy your CD and let you sign it and they'll be stoked
yeah,
about it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, and then if you're doing it right, you're making money on it, even regardless.
And these are
of
people that have
whether
already
somebody-
downloaded your shit, and that's why they came
Yeah,
in the first place.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Hey, the people that download the most are the people that buy a lot of music. I mean, they're music
Dude,
fans.
I've never, growing up, my whole childhood, I've never at one point ever had enough money to buy all the music I need.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
when I say, I don't say one, I say need, because, dude, like, that's the thing that keeps me.
I could spend all my money on stuff like that.
That's the thing that keeps me in this world, dude. That's what keeps me 3D is music, dude. So, like, I need certain music. I study this shit. It's like I eat and breathe it and shit, right? So, growing up, especially when I think of my formative years as a kid, I needed certain music. Back then, I didn't have a way to download shit. But at school, kids would make tapes for each other. Like, my friend got
Hell
Guns N'
yeah.
Roses Use Your Illusion 1 and 2. I was in 6th grade, and he fucking cooked me those onto a Memorex. I would have never had it otherwise. And fortunately, I got it that way. I dubbed. And I mean, I never would have had money for it. My grandparents wouldn't have bought it for me because they, don't like whatever explicit shit. So, never would have had it, dude. But it enriched my life so much, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think it's part of the problem is that a lot of the, at least the agencies that
it's the people who put the money on it and mass distribute
right,
it.
it's the record
Yeah,
labels. It's
absolutely.
It's that
Yeah.
ASCAP or whatever. It's it's all these people that have fingers in the pot, and they what they do is they represent this old way of doing business, of doing the music business that is not compatible with technology today.
Well, it's not compatible with the human soul either.
Yeah, it's not compatible with human soul. It's not compatible. It's just it's not possible with technology today. Is what I'm saying. Like people don't need record
Yeah.
labels anymore.
Yeah, well, with technology, but yeah, think about it. Before that, like the best you could get was a group or an act that had like the power to kind of just show up somewhere and play and just get people's attention. That was that in touch with the current surroundings. Nowadays, though, bands can actually just decide to record in a room. I guess if you have that kind of dedication. But I think what the record companies allowed at the time that the music industry was booming, like the pop era, whatever, rock and roll, whatever. It's like they facilitated people to be able to get to that level and spend that amount of time and that amount of space to create these things with that amount of focus and that amount of combinations of people putting the right resources
Sure.
and time into it. Whereas you can't really spend that much time doing that kind of shit and that focus when you have to have a job in the real world or be a farmer or fucking, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, there's that, but they're not necessary. But that's
No, they're not necessary. No, they're not necessary.
But that's the thing.
They do play a role. They
that's
definitely played a role to some of the
that's
shit
a
we
very
like.
small role.
To some of the shit we like, though.
No, mostly what they're for is because previously, in previous years, before the technology came to where we are today, you couldn't have a recording studio. You didn't have the option whether you could
Yeah.
focus on it or not.
Yeah.
You didn't have the option of
Yeah.
having one in your house.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
had to have a recording company pay to have you go into a studio.
Or you could pay them, but then what would you do?
Right. No, but I mean, you would still be like
Yeah.
it'd save the same thing, know.
Yeah.
So like, so what it represents is a business model that just
So then there
isn't
became
necessary.
gatekeepers, and they had
Right,
another
they-
thing on the other end that would spit
They
it out.
became middlemen
They would
that
spit it out.
actually had some
The
form-
filter,
semblance
yeah.
of a purpose,
Yeah.
But then they, and then the whole industry got built around them because the whole even like standards and practices of
Yeah.
music. You know what's proper
They
or
have
what's
to set. They have to set. What's the
not
thing?
obscene or whatever.
With the money wise, like that every year the company has to like say a profit, like they'll have to foresee the profit of the next year or whatever, and, on paper for their stockholders and shit.
Oh yeah.
And like in the olden days when it first started out, it was like, yeah, sure, you're good, okay, come and play, and we'll record you and we'll give it to the radio stations. Obviously, if people like it, they'll play it, and that might be nice. We'll make money.
Right.
We can do that. And some would try and not do anything. Some would, whatever. And then it gets to the point where they're like, okay, we're gonna specifically have this many artists. We're gonna put them here, 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 and here, and here. We're gonna push and push and push this shit. We believe we can sell this many copies of and like people like they just stick them into this mold and put it through. And they have these tastemakers and shit, and people, culture experts, and all that shit, whatever.
Right.
And then they also got probably some real sick fuckers in there. I'm sure they do. Real sick
yeah.
fuckers. They got their hand right in it on a real subtle level that most people don't notice. I have a feeling that's going on real hard. I mean, why does everyone have one hand over their fucking eye on all their album covers?
Yeah, and that's one thing that as far as technology now, I mean, all of that is just unnecessary, really.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
now.
fuck it. Yeah.
And so what's happening is that all these campaigns against things like, and then no one's saying that artists shouldn't make money on the stuff that
absolutely.
they do, but artists do make money on the stuff that they do if they're doing it right.
Yes. Yeah.
And they don't need a record label. And I find it kind of funny that most of the people making these complaints happen to represent, recording industry, RAAA, or like.
Yeah, dude, if you're an artist, like, if you found out everyone was downloading your shit,
They
you'd
all-
be
they-
like, what? That's awesome.
Yeah, they all right. Exactly.
Yeah,
That's the only thing I've
fucking
ever
dude,
thought
like-
when I found that.
Yeah.
The only people complaining are people that directly represent the old way of doing things that is in its death throes right now.
Because they can't produce anything on their own, right? That is
Right,
most of that shit probably is the shit
they
they
require
produce on their
artists
own.
to come to them, and people, and some still
Yeah.
do because they find ones that
They have
been,
artistic people that create a product for them. Actually, is I think
Yeah,
more like
and
what it
they
is.
have singers, and they have singers that sing stuff that other people wrote for them.
They become puppets.
which
yeah.
in a way
they dress the way they dressed them. They act the way they
Right.
act. Told them they say the shit they told them to say.
and they
It's-
just go and do. They go and then
Yeah.
they play the fucking Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's kind of that almost. It's so icky to me and like ominous. It just makes me like it's like fucking. It's like Darth Vader breathing down my neck every time I'm exposed to that shit.
Yeah.
I feel weird about it.
Yeah.
And I watch normal people that I see in the real world that I like and maybe, think finally of or whatever, bopping around to that shit, and I just get all the more weirded out. It's like the Truman Show. I'm like, I'm the only one that knows. I'm the only one that knows. Yeah, it makes you feel crazy. It
Yeah.
makes you fucking feel crazy. You just gotta bite your tongue.
Man,
Ugh.
we should probably end this.
We're still recording? What the fuck?
Yeah, we're
Dude, you've been
three
recording. Jesus Christ.
3 hours now. So
Nobody's still listening.
I'm not going to plug anything because I'm not doing anything that I know of yet. So you guys can be spared of me trying to pretend like I'm a real podcast this week.
Well, can I plug something?
Yes.
It's there's a really exciting, I guess, open mic kind of circuit in Tacoma area for musicians, I think, who are doing their best to get their shit together and get an act with good material and like, become really fucking, it's like when you go to a barber school to get your haircut cheaper. You know what I mean? It's like
Oh, right.
it's like a free to come out and it's fun, and most musicians are really good, and there's a lot of cool things happening. It's not gonna be no Dave Matthews Band necessarily, but I swear to God, every night at least there's like 2 or 3 or 4 really fucking fantastic things that happen at most of these. NPCC in Parkland, Northern Pacific Copy Company on Wednesday nights. They have a fucking great open mic.
Right.
And that's where I go with my little thing called Bandicoot Graveyard. But there's lots of really good musicians that come down through there. And anyways, yeah, it's cool. Yeah, like I said, a group of people in a room that consists a good mixture of people that are there to play and people that are there to have a good time and listen to music is a great, perfect mixture. And nights like that go really good. And most nights are like that out there. It's a really fun place to be, anyways. Nice area, nice people.
Cool.
Yeah, hell yeah. And there's beer.
I'll just come check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some coffee shops can be boring for those things because they don't serve beer.
I like coffee shops, but
Well, they can. Yeah,
I
they
don't
can-
read. I'm not. Yeah.
I just noticed the ones that serve beer and that people buy beer at like tend to be a lot more like
Oh,
more
gotcha, what you're saying.
jovial.
Yeah,
and
no, I
fun.
see-
It's
I
like
do see what
the
you're saying
atmosphere
there.
is just somehow
Yep.
different.
That is true.
Yeah.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, until next week.
Thanks for having me on, dude.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
Yeah. Have a good one, guys.